Good afternoon and welcome to Manchester. It is the final press conference for Derek Chisora against Joseph Parker with a packed undercard. We're expecting all the fighters. In about 10 minutes, proceedings will get going. You can see that Adam Smith has already joined me. Adam, what are we expecting today? I start this by saying you enjoyed a very nice, cordial breakfast with both main event fighters, which looked like a scene out of Cold War Steve. There were so many people around. Lots of pleasantries as well, but there was a little bit of needle as well. What do you think we will see from the press conference today? What did they have? Eggs Benedict, was it?
Yeah, I think they ordered porridge and they got Eggs Benedict. It was all very surreal, Andy. I think that Derek had planned it and Joseph and the team sort of went along with it. But it was interesting to see Derek just start the mind games slightly. They started talking about their kids. They've both got daughters. Joe's got 3, Derek's got a couple, and it was all very nice. And then he's just started to... just to wind the wheel a little bit, and they talked about...
Do you think he is doing that? Do you think he is just starting to wind it?
Absolutely, it was definitely mind games. I mean, he talked about the fight and sort of pushed a couple of buttons on there, and then he said it's great having you over from Australia, and that really... What do you mean you're not from Australia? Well, that's what I always thought. No, surely you know I'm from New Zealand. No, you're from Australia, sure. That was good. I thought that was quite clever. And then Johnny Nelson turned up on a FaceTime as a sort of gloves are off from a distance. So it was all very odd. They had a guy dressed as Spider-Man. Craig Richards, of course, was there as well. So it wasn't quite the Batman press conference that Tyson Fury had with Vladimir Klitschko all those years ago, which was absolutely hysterical. But it was interesting. It was an interesting watch.
Yeah, there was no breakfast between Team Taylor and Team Jonas, although I saw Katy Taylor have dinner with Roy Jones Jr. last night. She's already told us that she hasn't really been starstruck before, but she was absolutely melted by Roy Jones Jr., which was nice, and he took the time to sit and have dinner with them last night.
Looked great, didn't it? Actually?
Yeah, it did look good. I'm building this one up. She said yesterday, Katy Taylor, that she's been watching Sugar Ray Leonard in terms of... finishing a fight, looking at Terence Crawford and Sugar Ray Leonard, and Tasha Jonas has said she's been looking at Marvin Hagler, so it's Leonard v Hagler. I'm bigging it up. I've thrown you an Under Armour. All we've got to do is knock it out of the park.
Listen, there's a lot of talk about Marvin Hagler, isn't there, from Joe Gallagher? I think it's the mentality more than anything. Natasha Jonas is in a fantastic place. She comes off a terrific performance at Fight Camp. We thought that draw could have been a win for her against Terry Harper. She wasn't crowned world champion that night, and she's got the opportunity that she's asked for. And it doesn't come bigger in boxing than Katy Taylor, the undisputed lightweight champion, and unbeaten in 17. An icon in so many ways. And Tasha's going to give it everything. She's stepping up in weight. She's stepping up in levels as well. Certainly as a pro, but as an amateur, they shared the ring a couple of times. I was there for the second in the Olympics, and look, it's a very intriguing fight. You've got to say Katy's a slight favourite, but can't wait for that.
Can I get you to give an insight into the bubble, because that is the one thing where we can tell people something they don't already know at home. You've been blown away by the mentality of Natasha Jonas, the way she spoke to us in a behind closed doors interview that we'll put out later in the week. The way she's carried herself. Katy Taylor and Team Taylor, we know they shut themselves behind the doors. We don't really get access to them apart from the bare minimum, which is their prerogative. It sounds like I'm criticising. I'm not. Tasha Jonas is super confident. She seems totally at home. Yeah, okay, it's Manchester. She's not had to travel very far, but she is carrying herself in a certain way around the bubble.
This bubble's a bit more higgledy-piggledy here in Manchester. There's a few more different places. It's a different setup. But I tell you what I'm really enjoying is when everyone comes to the restaurant and you can see all the fighters eating and looking happy. Looks like none of them are really struggling at weight, which is fantastic. I saw Craig Richards last night have a couple of chocolate things. He said he's just slightly overweight. He looks happy. Marcus Morrison looks happy. Chris Eubank Jr. Everybody, and I think that's a really good sign. And Natasha Jonas has always got a massive smile on her face. I think she's done all the work. I think she's done everything she can in preparation for this. She says that her statistics, her runs, her spars, everything are just up that level, and I think she's taken that momentum on from the Terry Harper fight. But Katy, of course, shone against Gutierrez last time out. Thought she looked really, really good. We know she had this long training camp in Connecticut. We've spoken to her many times over the last few months, and that she's ready to go against Natasha Jonas. It's a fight of the highest quality, and that's what women's boxing are giving us. And Taylor and Natasha Jonas could be the headliner here, but we've got the heavyweights as well with Parker and Chisora, and a terrific undercard card as well. And David Hay has just walked in, which is...
The Haymaker is in the house. Good. Adam, I'm just going to swap you out, actually, in-play substitutions. Yeah, well, David... No, Spencer, no one saw, don't worry. I was going to bring in Spencer, but you've been upscaled by the Haymaker. David, first time we've seen you this bubble. How are you doing? How's everything? You've missed very nice breakfast between the two camps.
I did.
Were you Spider-Man? A lot of people think you might have been.
I was in quarantine. I was getting pictures sent through. So I'm glad it all went nice and smooth. I didn't want it to kick off before it kicks off. So it was all very amicable. The respect was there. But I think both fighters, it's the quiet before the storm. Both fighters know exactly what this fight's all about. Derek knows it's not worth trying to go the distance in any way, shape or form. He's got to get Joseph Parker out of there. And from the weigh-in, when he sees him tomorrow at the weigh-in, that's when he'll turn it on and you'll start really getting the War Chisora vibe going.
So that's exactly what someone who doesn't want to be identified as Spider-Man would say. So are you categorically saying you weren't Spider-Man this morning at breakfast?
I might have been Spider-Man. That might have been me in there.
Can you tell us anything that might be planned for today's press conference? We know Derek is... The mind games are in full flow now, and he might not accept that. He might just say, I'm being myself. But we feel that he's just slowly starting to turn that key with Joseph Parker and ramp things up. What do you think?
You don't know with Derek Chisora. He does what he does on the spur of the moment. He does what he wants. We say to him before anything happens, let us know what you're planning, but he doesn't. We're just as surprised as everybody else. But yeah, I can feel things starting to bubble now. As it gets closer to the fight night, he starts tuning in because he knows what's at stake at this fight. He knows he's fighting a man, and his plan is to do something that's never been done before. He's trying to do something that Anthony Joshua couldn't do, that Andy Ruiz Jr. couldn't do, that Dylan White couldn't do, and that's knock out Joseph Parker, knocking someone out who's never been knocked out. So it's a tough order, but Derek Chisora's up for it.
Thank you very much for coming and joining us on our live stream. You're going to step over the other side of the room to our colleagues on Sky Sports News, and I've said it before, from one big puncher to another. Spencer, come join us. I'm really sorry about that. You got moved out of the way by the Haymaker. It was in-play substitutions. I couldn't stop him. I don't know why you didn't stand your ground.
I'm not sure I want to give my comments now. I'm not sure.
I don't know why you didn't stand your ground. Why didn't you just stand there?
I've been too long retired, mate.
I don't believe it. You know Derek very well.
Yeah.
Not everyone will know your background and your family background with Derek. So can you just take us through the journey? I know that the Oliver family is very closely aligned with Derek.
Yeah, listen, the journey started right from the beginning. When Derek come over to this country as a 15-year-old kid, he come down to the Fitzgerald Boxing Club when he was about 16, 17, took up the sport of boxing. He was an overweight kid. My uncle took him under his wing. And my uncle, funny enough, trained Derek from, up to his first amateur fight, right up until his second and third pro fight. He always said from day dot, this kid's going to be a world champion. I could not see that, and I'm a great studier of the sport. I'm a great, a great understanding of the sport. And everything Derek done as a young kid was wrong. He threw the jab wrong, he threw the right hand wrong, but he's got this incredible work ethic, and he's very, very strong. My uncle could see that, and he could see the potential in that, whereas I couldn't see that at an early stage. And my Uncle John's proved him right, really, that Derek's gone on and he's become a great fighter, a fringe contender. And we're in a situation here, and I know that we've said it, Andy, so many times before, 42 fights, 10 losses. You look down his losses, and he's always put in good performances, tough performances, so I just feel that this is a big opportunity for Derek. It's a make or break. We said it last time against Dillian White. After he got knocked out, I actually said to Derek, look, I think you're done. You got enough money in the bank. And I just don't know if you should continue, go with the boxing. He went back to the gym. He's seen that actually I've still got a lot left. I still want it. He's in the twilight of his career, but he's in the best form of his career. He takes it for the first time. He takes it seriously, down to the training, down to the way that he eats. Everything he eats, lives, eats, sleeps the sport, and I think his ambition is to become world champion or box for that world title again. He put up a good performance against Klitschko last time he boxed for it, and he wants that other shot. So he recognises, like I say, there's a lot on the line here, as does Joseph Parker. He's putting his world ranking up there, and a loss here for Parker would be damaging. It puts the loser out of the mix. Really looking forward to it, but I know Derek as an individual, and this is the first time that I've seen him as relaxed as he is. Normally, by now...
Good sign or bad sign?
Very good sign.
Good sign for us.
Because
he's a nightmare to interview when he's in a bad mood.
There's no tables flying. There's no one getting slapped. No one getting spat out. He's been through all that. He's in a happy place right now because he's left no stone unturned, and he just wants this opportunity. He's got the fight that he's craved. You know, it's on Sky Sports box office. He knows it's on this massive platform, and he wants to deliver. So he's only in a happy place because I'll tell you the way that Derek ticks.
Yeah, so this is what I'm intrigued with because you know what makes him
absolutely. I'll tell you the way that it ticks. If something's not right with Derek, I've seen it before when he was boxing. When he boxed Tyson Fury the first time, Derek went down about 3 or 4 days out of the fight. We found him wandering down the street. He was there, he was crying, he was having an emotional breakdown because the training had not been where it had been. Like, Derek was undefeated at the time, and I think he was going into that fight of that magnitude, and he felt, I've not done it right. Derek's the type of character that needs to do everything, tick all the boxes, and then he's in a good place. And that's why when he's coming here and he's playing the music and walking around, he's going, I know I've left no stone unturned. So you'll see a great performance from Derek. And that thing today, by the way, that we've never seen before, which I thought was very, very strange. 2 guys having breakfast 2 days before, before a fight, and they're sitting there. Derek was getting inside his head. What Derek was trying to do was draw him in and say, don't run away. You know, you've done it against Joshua, and I've seen what you do. Don't make things difficult for me. Come and have a fight. Give me the shot. And that's what he's trying to do. And Parker's going, yeah, I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going, he's getting drawn into the wrong thing here, because if he goes out there and trades with Derek early, he could come unstuck.
That's the Andy Lee factor, though, isn't it? Andy Lee's been there, seen it, done it, been around the world twice, seen everything once. Listen. Surely he's long enough in the tooth to say to Joseph Parker, he's winding you up. He's playing you at a game here. It's whether or not Joseph can listen.
You said it, not me. You said it. It's whether he can listen, because that won't be the only time he's done it. I think that was a terrible move by Joseph Parker's team to agree to it, because I know what Derek's like. So they've agreed to that. Now what's going to happen is Derek's going to try and get in his head again here. He's going to keep doing it to the point of where Parker's going to start believing, I've got to go out there and knock him out. I need to make a statement. So that's where I see it's at. So I think that Derek's done a great thing there by sort of getting him involved. But there's a little bit of an insight into Derek Chisora and how he really ticks.
Spencer, enjoyed that. Sorry, I've just hit someone with a microphone over the head, which was unintentional. Let's sort of get in position here. We can see that promoter Eddie Hearn in a very fetching matching tracksuit top. Is it? I don't know if I call it a tracksuit. I'm so out of touch. He's nodding. Yeah, okay. It's a nice attire. He's up on stage, so let's go over to him now.
Thanks everyone, and what a delight to be here in Manchester ahead of a huge night of boxing this Saturday from the AO Manchester Arena, live on Sky Sports box office in the UK and DAZN all around the world. I think the card of the year so far, so much to talk about here today, from the big heavyweight main event to the Undisputed World Championship to the World Light Heavyweight Championship and much, much more. We start before that with the return of Scott Fitzgerald. So pleased to see this young man back in action. This fight will kick off our Facebook transmission earlier on in the night before we go live on Sky Sports box office against Gregory Trinel from France. Welcome, Gregory. Fitz, first time for you, mate, back in a long, long time. In fact, you asked me what was going on with the press conference setup. You were used to all the old tables. Things have changed. You're in the bubble. But what a moment for you to be back. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. I'm buzzing to be back. And like you say, it's been a long time, 18 months. And yeah, it's all, this is new to me, a new setup to me, so yeah, that's how long it's been, but I'm looking forward to getting in Saturday, doing a job and getting myself back in the mix.
You're on a tremendous run. You know, you had that great win over Anthony Fowler, you had the win over Ted Cheeseman for the British title. You were flying high, you know, things come crumbling down for you. How difficult has it been to sort of dust yourself back and get back in this position? You should be proud of yourself. You know, at times, I didn't know whether you'd be back in the sport. You've trained hard, and this is a small step backwards, but a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, cheers. At one point I weren't sure if I'd be back in there, you know, and I've been working hard and really happy to be back here and about to get back in the ring. You know, like I say, at one point I weren't sure if I would, and get Saturday night, you know, do a job Saturday night and look forward to what's to come then.
Well, you left the strong division, you return in a thriving division, red-hot division. I mean, you know, your old nemesis, Anthony Fowler, is going really, really well. He's world-ranked now. Ted Cheeseman with a thrilling win over JJ Metcalf in Gibraltar. You've got Kieran Conway fighting Suleiman Sissoko on the Saunders-Canelo card next week. So many huge opportunities. I know you're not looking too far ahead, but the Fowler the rematch is interesting. You won that fight, but you seem to still want to do it again. You know, you must feel you still got a point to prove.
Oh, of course, yeah. And not only that, I know that a lot of people want to see that fight again. So it's something I think I can do a better job on it, as well. So I'd like to get this fight out of the way. You mentioned another fight in July, and then look for one of them big fights, whether it's the Fowler rematch or whatever you want for October time.
Gregory, welcome. I know your English is limited and I've messed this up before, so just a quick word. Scott's been out of the ring for a long time. You ready to fight at the weekend?
Thank you for the fight and the perfect moment for me and beautiful opposition. And I am dangerous for Scott because I am crazy.
Right.
Yes. So.
Well, that's quite scary. I mean, you are crazy. He is the madman. I mean, he used to be. Are you still the madman, by the way? Is that?
I'm not so sure at the minute.
That's you're the nice man at the moment.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
but for now, I want to keep that nickname because it's. Go on, carry on. I was enjoying that.
Before fight USA Berlanga, it's not problem for me. Not problem for Scott, and good fight.
Good. Thank you very much. That was outstanding. What about a round of applause, please, for Gregory Trinell? Well done. That was very good. We got the crazy man against the madman. Fitz, just a quick word. I know that, everything you've been through, I think, it's going to make an incredible documentary, but just a word out there, you see a lot of people struggling at the moment for various reasons as well. Proof that you get your head down, you work hard, you can come through this. I think it's an important message for people at home.
Yeah. Sometimes, things aren't going great, and but it's not going to be like that for the rest of your life, is it? You just get up and just keep trying, and you'll get back, get back.
Well, listen, mate, I'm chuffed to see you back. I can't wait to see you, fingers crossed, get the win. Sorry, crazy man. At the weekend, and now get back into an incredible division at light middleweight. Gentlemen, if we can have a head-to-head up here, please.
Okay, I'm going to welcome Adam Smith back. Scott Fitzgerald, where does he fit in this domestic picture now? He's been away a while, and as Eddie Hearn said, the division has moved on at such a rate. Where does Scott Fitzgerald fit in? Is the obvious fight the one that we all want to see as fans, which is the Fowler rematch?
Yeah, I want to see him against Anthony Fowler, Ted Cheeseman back in the mix. It's exciting to have Scott back. Fitzy's a very, very talented young man. He's had difficulties and he's open about that, but he's back, and I think the whole point is that, that's what boxing's about. It gives you structure and discipline, and it's a chance for him to, maybe reassess things. And I really hope, I've watched him for a long time since the amateurs, and I've always believed he has the talent to go a long way in this sport. But, you've got to have the consummate sort of 24/7 dedication. And look, he's back. That's the first step. We need to see him back performing in the ring, and baby steps. But I think that Scott Fitzgerald has got a huge part to play in that division.
Let's just look at the other fights on the card just while we've got a minute before the next fight takes the stage, which will be James Tennyson. We said it yesterday, didn't we? James Tennyson doesn't do the trash talk, doesn't do the big bold predictions, but rapidly becoming a real fan favourite because of what he does inside the ropes.
Yeah, he's terrific to watch, isn't he? He's a lovely guy outside the ring, and inside he's a terror, and that's what we like. Katy Taylor's exactly the same, isn't she? It's the switch that just goes. He's got a good team around him, fantastic sort of outfit. He's on a run. He's winning fights spectacularly by knockout. The last one against Josh O'Reilly, who's unbeaten, was a fantastic win, a great performance, and he's got another step here. I think lightweight is the right division for him, and I think it's going to be a great kick-off to the box office show, no doubt about that.
There's something mesmerising about a real puncher at any weight, though, isn't there? Someone that you feel that you can't miss because they can take someone out with a single shot. That is actually box office appeal. That is entertainment, and that is what gets people watching, gets eyeballs was on him.
Listen, we all got into this sport and gripped by certain fighters. For me, it was Tommy Hearns, and knocking out Roberto Duran and the power that he had. And it is, a puncher is so exciting, especially when they've got a little bit of fragility, a bit of vulnerability as well, and you're not quite sure which way it's going to go. And we've seen James lose, but he's come back, and as I said to you, I think he's settling in this 9 stone 9 division. He's a big lightweight, and I think he's a threat, at the level he's at now. And who knows, it's a very, very competitive division up at World Elite. But listen, he's doing everything right at the moment.
Adam, I'm just going to bring you over to the other side of the camera. On the stage you can see James Tennyson in the yellow T-shirt, which has Kronk on the top left shoulder, his top right, the Belfast Kronk, which is a real successful setup. As we said, we've seen plenty of fights come out of there recently, and James Tennyson is leading that pack. So let's get back over to our host for this press conference, Eddie Hearn.
Thanks, Chris. Now we go on to the first fight of our live broadcast. Of course, live this Saturday from Manchester Arena, the AO Arena, live on Sky Sports box office in the UK, DAZN around the world, the IBO World Lightweight title. This is going to be a thrilling fight, one that sits on as fight one on the televised broadcast, but one that could bring all the action, even rolled in with this other great card. As I said, the World IBO Lightweight title, James Tennyson against Giovanni Straffon. Of course, another Mexican fighter that comes, and I have to just warn you, as I warned you when Maurizio Lara boxed Josh Warrington, I made some calls last night to check this young man out, and we got another thriller on our hands. Of course, you saw the upset that Maurizio Lara caused. James Tennyson, you're up for this. You know this guy can really fight. Big opportunity for you to take a piece of that world stage. Ready to go on Saturday.
Yep, huge opportunity for me. Big fight, big title on the line. Great opportunity for me to put myself up there and line some big fights up with the top lightweights in the world.
Of course, a lot of those other world championship belts taken. We want to thank the IBO. We know that it's not as recognised as the other four. It is a form of the world title as well, but important to take a piece of that whilst all the other belts are held up as well. And this is going to put you in a great position.
Well, this is it. This is the belt that I need to get me up there. It's going to put me in a great position. Like you say, the other belts are taken, and I want a piece of the action.
I've not seen a fighter or a management team with Mark Dunlop that basically accepts every single fight. This was an opportunity. Straffon came on. Mark Dunlop said, we'll take this guy. You really are up for fighting all of these guys. And this is a guy who's going to be particularly live at the weekend. I spoke to some of the guys in Mexico last night. They said, no, he can fight. He can punch. He's game. He's durable. And he'll be there to win. You're expecting a tough night. Last time out, you walked through Josh O'Reilly. As you step up the levels, do you expect to start getting some action back and also having to go rounds against these tough guys?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I'm looking forward to a good fight. These Mexicans, they've got a reputation for their toughness, their durability, and they bring it every time. So I'm excited. I love these kind of fights. That's what I'm up for.
Giovanni, welcome, and thanks to the translation as well. We've had a lot of Mexican fighters that have been here recently that have caused upsets, heartbreak. Are you going to do that on Saturday night? Should we expect another Mexican victory for the IBO World Lightweight title?
No, yo vengo a hacer mi trabajo, yo vengo a levantar y ganarme el público y sobre todo vengo por ese sueño del cinturón.
He comes here for the upset, he comes here for the win, and he wants all the people from the UK and the world to watch him fight.
Although James Tennyson is from Belfast, Northern Ireland, he fights a little bit like a Mexican as well. Punches very hard, always comes forward. What should the British fight fans and the people tuning in around the world expect from you on Saturday?
Dice que a pesar de que él es de Belfast, él pelea como mexicano y golpea muy fuerte. ¿Qué pueden esperar los fans de esta pelea?
Pues podrá pelear como mexicano, pero nunca se ha enfrentado a un mexicano. Va a enfrentarse a uno que no se raja y pues espera una guerra, ¿no?
Well, he might fight as a Mexican, but he's never actually faced a Mexican, so he can expect a war.
Well, thank you, Giovanni. Good luck to you, James. And finally, as well, ready for a real test on Saturday night, ready to go to war. We see what we always get from you. Should we expect the same? You're coming forward, looking to let those hands go and excite the fans again.
Yes, absolutely. This got the makings to be a very exciting fight. I'm primed, I'm ready, I'm very confident, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Giovanni. The IBO World Lightweight title, Tennyson against Straffon. This is going to be a cracker. Gentlemen, can we have a head-to-head here, please?
Okay, I'm just going to bring in James Tennyson's manager, Mark Dunlop, live on our Sky Sports stream. Mark, there's just a piece of tape on the floor there if you stand on that one. You must be a very relieved man. This has been some process getting James on the card. I know you had a number of opponents turn it down and fall out of bed around. So to get Giovanni Straffon on this card, you must be very, very happy.
Yes, delighted to get the opportunity to fight again for a version of the world title. As I say, this is a big fight for James, and it's a big card to be on. I mean, every one of the matching fighters all wanted to be on, but as Eddie said, he wanted real fights. And, we discussed earlier on, we've been through quite a lot of opponents. It's not just opponents taking the fight, it's opponents ranked in the governing bodies high enough to be sanctioned. So, believe it or not, after 15 names, this was the kid that accepted it. And this kid's coming here with the same opportunity as James had against Martin Ward. So, we're under no illusions this kid's going to fight, and he's going to come and try and win that title, but equally James is as well. I know you've got the big name, the four kings they call it, but believe me, I'm thinking after this fight, they'll not be calling James one of the kings, they'll be calling him the ace, and we'll be happy, we'll take that all day long.
Yeah, you've never been shy about your confidence around James Tennyson. You can understand why people might be turning it down though, because word's out. You've only got to YouTube him, and there's this succession of heavy knockouts.
Yeah.
How do you force him into that picture now?
Well, I think TV is going to force him into it because, as I said yesterday, all the other kids are they're fighting guys at the latter end of their career in their late 30s, middle to late 30s. James Tennyson's 27, up and coming young contender, and as I say, if he can come through this here fight safely, which is an if, then he'll force himself into that position because at some point they're going to have to fight somebody, these guys, and they'll have to fight somebody in the top 10, and that's where this fight's going to take James.
I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here. You keep your stable very tight. You don't work with people that you don't sort of see want it as much as you do.
Yeah.
James Tennyson, would have been easy to walk away when he had earlier defeats in his career at lesser weights. Do you feel a little bit of indication sort of sticking by him, and maybe those doubts never came into your mind, but I'm sure there would have been people saying, look, James Tennyson isn't going to be what you want him to be.
No, I mean, everyone knows in terms of management, I'll give every kid equally the same attention, 100%. If they give me and their coaches 100%, then they'll get there. Win or lose, you look at the like of Pacquiao, all them guys, they all took early losses and come on to do great things. This is boxing at top level. You're going to win, you're going to lose, But if you're willing to put your name in the mix, you're going to get the big fights and get the recognition.
Yeah, and he's getting that now.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you very much for joining us. Let's move on to our next fight. You can see Dmitry Bivol, Craig the Spider Richards, Vadim Kornilov, Peter Sims, and Eddie Hearn in the middle.
Thank you. I cannot wait for this fight. What an opportunity for Craig Richards, the British light heavyweight champion, to fight for the World Light Heavyweight Championship. The WBA champion, Dmitry Bivol, one of the top world champions in the sport of boxing. Welcome to his team, Vadim Kornilov, and World of Boxing as well, Andrei Rybinski. And welcome up to Craig Richards, the challenger, and Peter Sims as well. This is a fascinating fight. Of course, Dmitry Bivol for a long time has looked like, as I said, one of the elite world champions in the game. The rise of Craig Richards, quite amazing. I remember the draw against Chad Sugden, and then you get the fight against Shakan Pitters. I'm watching that fight going, I don't know. He goes out, he absolutely destroys Shakan Pitters. Ever since then, looking sensational in the gym. The more I speak to Craig, the more I see Craig, the more I see Peter Sims. You look at this and say, could this be one of the big British victories for a world championship? Since 2013, Britain has been without a world champion in the light heavyweight division, and this man has a huge task. I'm going to start with the challenger and his team. Peter, first of all, I remember the conversation so clearly. He beat Shakan Pitters. You came in, and I was talking about who we're going to defend the British title against. You said, we want to roll the dice. We want a big fight. I said, well, I worked with Dmitry Bivol. He went, he's perfect. We've watched him. We believe we can beat him. And I don't mind saying, I looked at you and I said, yeah, and if Craig loses, he can go back and he can defend his British. You said, he ain't losing. He ain't losing this fight. You've beaten the drum for Craig Richards. And there's a lot of people walking about this bubble that are starting to become believers as well. You really believe your man can become world champion on Saturday?
Yeah, I really do, Ed. And, I remember that conversation like it was yesterday, and I think the first words out of your mouth was, "Core blimey, mate." And you sort of looked at me like I was joking, and then you realised that I was serious. You know, we had a conversation before the Shakan Peters fight, and I said to Craig, you know, it's not about if you win this fight, it's how you win this fight will define whether you're going to step up or not, you know, or whether you need to start at the British level or domestic scene for a little while. And that, as you just spoke about, you know, the way that he dismantled Shakan Peters, for me, was a sign for him to step up. You know, I think he's fifth in the WBO rankings. He's third or fourth in the British rankings. I believe he's the best British light heavyweight at the moment, you know. And it's like we spoke about before, you know, with Callum Johnson when he challenged Berbatov and Anthony Yarde when he went out and challenged Kovalev, you know. And it's about time, really, that Britain have another light heavyweight champion. You know, I was speaking to a good friend of mine earlier, John Conte, who's going to speak to Craig later on today, you know, and he said this can be done, you know. Boxing's made of upsets. You know, if we go back to the Lloyd Hannigan, Donald Curry, and we go back to the Nigel Benn, Gerald McLaren, and recently, you know, Andy Ruiz Jr. and Harry upset Anthony Joshua. Can Spider upset the boat and beat Dmitry Bivol? I think he can.
I think when you break it down, you know this guy's a class fighter. But when you start to become a believer, you start saying, well, he hasn't boxed since October 2019. You know, he's over here in I know we're outside of London, but in Craig's home country. You know, there's a lot going for Craig Richards in this fight. We know Dmitry is a fantastic fighter as well. But you've seen in the gym, we know he's been looking sensational in sparring, punching really, really hard in this fight. Got to be sharp from the get-go, though. Dmitry's got fantastic feet, fantastic speed as well. Got to be switched on from the first bell.
Yeah, you know, you can't deny Dmitry Bivol is a class fighter. You know, he had an absolute, you know, his amateur pedigree. He's absolutely spot on, you know, and we're going this fight with total 100 respect for Dmitry Bivol. You know, he's a WBA super lightweight world champion, you know, for a reason. You know, his speed's good, he's got great feet, you know, he's got all the package. But we believe with the assets that he's got, Spider, and what he's developed and how he's progressed in the gym, that he can do the job and he can upset the boat.
Craig, big, massive opportunity for you as well. I see a guy who's not really here in awe of the situation, not here to make up the numbers. You really believe that you can become Britain's next world heavyweight champion, light heavyweight world champion?
Yeah, 100%, Eddie. I believe that, of course, I can become the next champion. As you said, I come off a good win for the British title. It's not like I was in a dark place in my career and it's like, oh, this is the only opportunity. I've got momentum in my career and I've only took this fight because I believe I can win and I want more momentum. As you said, people talk about me stepping up from the British and moving on. My career's been a bit backwards. Although it looks like I've just won the British and moved on, I've been beating unbeaten guys from early in my career. I've beat guys 12-0, 10-0, 12-1, 14-0. So I could have, if you look at all the other Brits who's pushed on, they've had one big domestic duff up and then they've moved on to the world scene. I've had loads, so I've had loads of experience. When's the time to move on? Like, I can't keep fighting domestically. I've had like 5 good domestic wins. It's time to push on. I've got enough experience. I've got to push on. I believe the time's now. A year ago, 2 years ago, if you asked me if this is the time, I'd have said no, I wasn't ready. Now I'm ready to go.
You've watched this guy, of course. You've studied this guy, class fighter, has been inactive, but a tremendous champion as well. And you know, this would go down as a massive, massive win for British boxing.
100%. I think he's one of the greatest fighters in light heavyweight division. This is why he's perfect for the job, because I believe, as you say, people mention the other light heavyweights. Sometimes I wasn't getting mentioned, and I believe like I was getting overlooked. I beat great fighters, and after I've beaten them, people saying, "Oh, he's not all that. He's not all that." But granted, it's been at domestic level, and I believe that beating someone like Dmitry Bivol is a great WBA super champion, and a lot of respect to him. He's one of the best out there. I'll fully get the credit I deserve.
Absolutely, Vadim. Welcome. Great to see you back. Been a frustrating period for Dmitry Bivol. Looking for fights, looking for opportunities. I want to hear from you first as well. Everyone talks about, you know, the Beterbiev undisputed fight, etc. But a real test for you on Saturday night in Dmitry's first fight in the UK.
Thank you, Eddie. Definitely, it's been kind of frustrating for everybody, you know, with the COVID and everything going on. You know, there are a couple of opportunities, but I'm actually really excited for Dmitry to kind of have his first debut here in the United Kingdom, because the fans here are great, and you know, we've had a lot of success with Povetkin and getting a lot of attention, and I really think that you know, once Dmitry gets the fans to see the way he fights and the way he boxes, you know, unluckily it's not a fan fan visited fight, but still, fighting here is exciting, and I believe that this is important. This is important for him and his career, and I can see all the ambition on the other side, and I can see that a real good team and professional team, and that will make the fight even more exciting because both guys are coming to win, and both guys have a lot of confidence. So I appreciate the opportunity as well, and you helping make this happen is very important, for both guys, and we feel very excited and look forward to this Saturday.
Dmitry, it's been a long time. Now, all of a sudden, you are king. These young fighters want to take this opportunity. They have what you want. You expect a good fight on Saturday.
Of course, first of all, I want to say thank you, to Craig Richards and his team to take this fight. And что ожидать, да, типа? And I'm missing for fighting, and I'm really looking for to go in the ring and make a great fight for all of boxing fans. And I have a dream to be an undisputed champion, but I have some goals to fight, to make a fight in St. Petersburg, to fight in America, and to fight in England. And now my goal are realizing.
Obviously, there is talk about the undisputed fights, but first things first, tough fight on Saturday night against Craig Richards. And you've been out of the ring for a long time. People look at that. Is that a weakness? And, this is a big moment for British boxing. A lot of people behind this would be a huge moment for British sport if he could dethrone you on Saturday night. So you have to be ready.
I just believe in my skills. I just believe I can beat him and move forward again. But of course, I think about only May 1st. My life, I'm living until May 1st, and then we will see what will happen. But I believe I train on all my life. I'm in boxing since I remember myself, and of course I have to be winner.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dmitry. Thank you, Craig Richards. A tremendous fight for the WBA World Light Heavyweight Championship. Dmitry Bivol, one of the best champions in the sport, against Craig Richards, the British Light Heavyweight Champion, looking to make history at the AO Arena in Manchester on Saturday. Gentlemen, if we could have a head-to-head here, please.
First things to notice there is the size advantage that Craig Spider Richards holds over Dmitry Bivol. You have to question another one, how he was boxing at the weight below comfortably. Eddie, just on that mark there, now you've been bitten by a spider in Craig Richards. He's convinced you, hasn't he? You've started to have some, not doubts, because there's no denying that Craig Spider Richards is the underdog, but he's convinced you.
When you're around a fighter, you start to become a believer. I was with Joe Gallagher earlier. He told me so convincingly that Tasha Jonas was going to knock out Katy Taylor at the weekend, and you can't help but falling in love with a dream. When I told Peter Sims about the opportunity, I said, look, Craig wasn't in the room, but I said, you step up for this dream shot, and if it doesn't work out, you defend the British title. He looked at me like Peter Sims wanted to knock me out. He said, no, we're going to win this fight. We've always fancied we could beat Dmitry Bivol. And look, the performance against Shakan Pitters, showed that he was well above domestic level. This is a whole nother world. This is a big jump. But then you start trying to convince yourself, Dmitry Bivol hasn't boxed since October 2019. He's coming over to the UK. He's overlooking Craig Richards. He's talking about the undisputed fight, but he's very, very good. Craig's going to have to put a performance in that's going to be worthy of one of the great British boxing victories of all time. But he's punching very hard. He's really confident. He doesn't seem in awe of the situation. He's got to go out there, listen to Peter Sims, and I think no fans might help him.
you know, in that respect, because he's just got to concentrate and work on the game plan that Peter's put in. You know, no Pacto 2 for him to walk out and lose his head. He's got to be sharp from the first bell. Dmitry Bivol is a sharp puncher with great feet. He's going to be dangerous early on. But if Craig can get through those opening 3, 4, 5 rounds, who knows? It would, you know, we haven't had a British light heavyweight world champion since 2013, I think, when Cleverly lost to Kovalev. You know, you look at those even before then. There's not many. You know, Dennis Andrews, John Conti, Clinton Woods, but I think that might be it. You know, and it's a massive opportunity. You'll never get another opportunity like this. But he's not just fighting a guy. He's not fighting a faded Sergey Kovalev. He's fighting arguably a top 10 pound for pound fighter in Dmitry Bivol. But let's hope the inactivity, particularly, could play a big part here. And you know, I'm right behind Craig.
I'm going to keep you just for a little bit longer because Craig is with our colleagues over at Matchroom, unless you've got to go. You've toned down the attire today. You went, I'm going to say loud. I mean, look, I'm not, you know,
Keep
it's
talking
not,
about it.
Yeah, because you know, it's a thing for me. The blue jacket from last week got some love, got some criticism as well. You toned it down today. Have we got anything planned special for tomorrow?
No, I'm just, you know, obviously super cool these days.
John's coming out tomorrow.
Slight midlife crisis going on, but you know, that jacket was, you know, my dad actually phoned Frank Smith and said, what is he wearing? And that's worrying when you see my old man's fashion sense. So no, this is a little number that, you know, we'll probably be dropping soon. We call it the Matchroom drip, and that's what the kids say. I know you.
I said that to you earlier, and you looked confused, so I thought I was wrong. But
yeah, no, I got it from you. So
I'm going very red off camera.
I don't really know what I'm doing, but you know, we try.
Are there any nerves about the press conference today? Because the one thing I would say is Derek Chisora press conferences, they are entertaining, but they also fill people with the fear of God up there. Are you expecting cordial relationships, or are you a little bit nervous?
He seems quite chilled, doesn't he? I mean, I wasn't there with the Spider-Man incident earlier, but he seems quite chilled. You know, I've sort of ridden the waves of the Derek Chisora press conferences over the years, and I'm hoping that he's sort of a little bit chilled, maybe the weigh-in, something a little bit different. But I don't know, Joseph Parker doesn't really look like he knows how to take him.
No.
He's sort of kind of, you know, friendly but on edge. So we'll see. But, you know, I think Mr. Eubank up now with Marcus Morrison. Can't wait for that fight. And then, of course, Taylor Jonas first, and then on we go.
Yeah, brilliant. Look, I'll let you back up there because I don't want to keep you from, like you say, Mr. Eubank, who will be up next. Adam Smith, you can step into the void because Spider is still talking on the other feed. Yeah, I sound like I'm obsessed with what Eddie Hearn's wearing. Are you going to wear the blue jacket tomorrow?
I don't know, Andy. I don't know, no idea. Probably another jacket, maybe another jacket-shirt combination, something like that.
Let's quickly set this one up.
Marcus Morrison. I've liked Marcus Morrison since he turned pro. I know he's had some bumps in the road. He's a big underdog here, Andy, but he seems so happy and relaxed this week. He can really punch. And I tell you what, Chris Eubank Jr. is just going to have to be careful early. She'll get through it. Of course, we're looking forward to seeing how the relationship with Roy Jones has come apart. He's got a new promoter in Katy Taylor, of course. It's new beginnings in a way for Chris Eubank Jr. and we're very pleased to see him back. But Marcus is a live underdog. It's a big ask for him, a little bit like Craig Richards, but I'm really looking forward to this.
You said it yesterday, he does carry an aura, Chris Eubank Jr., so it will be very interesting to see what he says here. You can see it's a packed top table, it's a packed stage. Roy Jones Jr., Chris Eubank Jr., Katy Taylor, Marcus Morrison, Joe Gallagher. There's some characters up there, yeah. Let's get to the main one, Eddie Hearn, who's with all of the protagonists.
Thanks, everyone. Bit worried about Joe being up here. He said he's got some lines for this press conference. I was going to say, you know, I'll say it anyway, Joe. I said we've got some great fighters up here, some great personalities, some legends, and we've got Joe Gallagher as well. But I'm sure you'll get me back later on, Joe. But we can't wait for this fight. It's delighted to be co-promoting this fight with our good friend Katy Taylor. Massive fight for Marcus Morrison, of course, but also the return of Chris Eubank Jr., one of the biggest names from the British fight scene for a long time, of course, teaming up with the legend that is Roy Jones Jr. Welcome, Roy. Great to have you in the bubble. Katy, I'm going to pass to you first of all. You experienced a great run with Chris in the World Boxing Super Series, now in partnership with Roy Jones, of course. And I know the plan is to look at the big fight for the summer, but these guys, you know, Joe and Marcus, bang up for this fight. This is a lot more dangerous, we feel, than many do in this country.
And so they should be. That's what boxing's about. It's about opportunities. But, you know, it's exciting to be working with Roy. what a legend, one of my absolute all-time favourite fighters. But Roy came in as a bonus because we were talking with Junior before, and we weren't even sure the relationship with Roy and Chris during our discussions because everything was in lockdown. They were working behind closed doors. And, you know, Junior's one of those talents, they only come around, or personalities and talents that come around so often. And, you know, he reminds me of a throwback to the days in the UK growing up of, you know, where his dad performed, you know, where Ben performed, where Collins performed, where Naz performed. And he's, for me, is a combination of all that. He's a throwback fighter. He's someone who's got the charisma, the warrior-like approach of his father. He's got the bang of Ben. He's got the speed of Nassim Hamed. He's got the, you know, the set on him like Collins. You know, you've got everything you need in a fighter. And now he's got Roy in the corner. He's got Wasserman boxing behind him, a powerhouse. And, you know, it's not here. You know, it's no disrespect to the other side here today, but we are here to take over. And Saturday's the first step on a massive, massive year.
Thanks, Keller. Joe, I'll start with you. First thing that I noticed about you this week is full of confidence. You know, I feel like you're here with your 2 charges almost as the underdogs. I think you love that. You know, you're in Manchester. Marcus is in Manchester as well. And there's a real feeling. The first thing you come over to me and said when I turned up was, you know, Natasha's going to knock out Katy Taylor. I'm telling you, he's going to do you back. You're charged up for this fight, both fights, but you really believe your man has a great chance here to cause what would be a major upset.
Yeah, thanks, and good to see Calla. Not seen him for a good while.
See you, Joe.
Yeah, no, listen, it's a huge opportunity, and in my opinion, listen, it's got to be a rough, tough rugged type of fight, all action. And then obviously you've got Roy Jones Jr. What a legend as a fighter. But not only that, people don't know, but what a real gentleman outside the sport as well. Fantastic to have him here in Manchester. All right, Roy, he's always gracious, always kind, always has time for people. And most probably not people know that, but what a gentleman he is. So it's good to have you in Manchester, Roy. Welcome to Manchester. And having him involved has added that little bit of spice. Marcus Morrison has been at this arena 8 or 9 times now. We pushed him once before with Wellborn. Listen, it was man against boy at the time, do you understand? Wellborn then won the British title. He had a win then in Italy, went over as the underdog in Italy, had a good win, showed he had power late as well as early. Chris Eubank Jr. It's hard, this fight, because I've said in interviews, I'm a huge fan of Chris Eubank Jr. I do like the kid, I like him, he reminds me like Callum Johnson last week. He's just coming for it, he's having a straightener with you. Whether you like it or not, it's a fight. And that's what we like, and I think that's what boxing missing these days, fighters that want to fight, and this kid can fight. But with Marcus Morrison, he likes to fight as well, and this is going to be a good fight. And Marcus with him, he carries power in both hands. We know he's a massive underdog, but when anybody in a fight can punch, you've always got to be wary of that and respectful of that. And Marcus Morrison on Saturday night will be going in there and hoping to land. And if he lands, it's what happens next. Can he finish it? We don't know. Can he survive? Can Chris survive it? We don't know. But we will have a moment in this fight, and then how the fight plays out after that remains to be seen.
Of course, in the World Boxing Super Series, you know, Chris was in that. You would have studied him as well. Marcus got to be sharp early in this fight. Great performance in Italy last time out as well, but both very sharp punchers in here, both with great speed. Should be a very exciting fight.
Yeah, listen, we had Marcus this morning at breakfast, just going over a few Chris's old fights early on. Very sharp grows. Spike O'Sullivan. The hammering he gave him in, I think, round 2 of a barrage of shots. We've had Chris in the gym in the past years ago. I know Chris, I can't talk bad of him. He's a good fighter and carries himself well. And he's a personality in boxing. But when the bell goes, it's down to Marcus and down to Chris. Chris is going to try and implement things that Roy has taught him. And that'll be it. They're talking about all these big fights and everything else, and they're entitled to and they're expected to. But sometimes you can take your eye off the ball if the wrong kid at the wrong time. You could come unstuck. And I'm not going to say they've not overlooked Marcus Morrison, but if they have, they could come unstuck on Saturday night.
One question about fighting behind closed doors. You've done it on numerous occasions in the bubble with your charges. Do you think that could play a part into the performance of Chris Eubank Jr? He's a showman. He loves the big occasions, the crowds as well. How have you found that experience for fighters behind closed doors?
Well, you've seen it. Obviously, we were involved in the female fight of the year last year, Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas. Terry was used to having a huge crowd. We've seen it recently with Josh Warrington losing without his crowd. But I think for Eubank Jr, that the showman that he is and the crowd, Doesn't matter to Chris. Chris would go and fight Marcus Morrison in that car park over there. That's just what's bred in him. He's just a fighter. Whether there's a crowd there or not, he'll perform. And he isn't the type of man that say, oh, there wasn't a crowd there, that's why I didn't perform. That isn't in his gene, that's not in his blood. His father, him, they're a fighting family and fighting men. And that won't pay any relevance to this fight whatsoever.
Thanks, Joe. Before we go to the fighters, Roy, welcome. Some nice words from Joe there as well. Congratulations on your recent comeback as well against Mike Tyson. You look excited to be working with Junior. He's a great talent. He's someone that people feel has not quite yet achieved what he can achieve in the sport, and you're a big believer that this young man can go on and win world titles in the sport.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for everything you said, Joe. I really love to see so many different people. Good to see David. I haven't seen you in a while, so I mean both you, David. So I just really love the atmosphere. I love being here. And for me and Joe, it's like, you know, we outside the ring, we have to play mental chess as well. So we're here just to try to give our athletes the best opportunities to go out and showcase what they are. This kid has the ability to be anything he wants to be in boxing, and I'm sure his kid feels the same. So when you get a horse that can win the Kentucky Derby, you just got to get him with the right trainer in the right situation, and the sky becomes the limit. Now, I think that's what has happened with him. He's been doing so much on his own, and he got so far on his own that you have to take off your hat to what he did already. But now the fact that he showed up at my gym and he stayed there shows me that he definitely wants to get better. He wants to go to the top of the heat. He wants to win the Triple Crown, not just the Kentucky Derby. So I'm so glad to see him getting this opportunity. So glad to see Marcus getting the opportunity because it's a great opportunity for him as well. And I just think you put on a great fight card. I'm looking forward to being a part of it. Thank you for having me.
Just before you go to Chris, I remember sitting in the Manchester Arena with you at the press conference afterwards. I don't know if you remember, but after the Groves fight, and you had that terrific last round onslaught, and I said to you, get the corner sorted. You've got everything. You've got every asset, mineral it needs to go and rule this game. And, you know, I think that the fact that the link-up, the dynamic duo, as I think it's going to be, was the perfect move, perfect timing. Just to add that in there. I remember having that conversation at the press conference afterwards.
I remember.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary. And finally, Roy, quite a strange world that we live in, this boxing game, where, of course, you know, once upon a time you were looking for the fights with Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Jr, but you didn't think at that point you'd end up training his son.
Never, ever. You never know what God has in store for you. That's why you just never say never, because you never know. Now it's like, because we didn't become rivals or enemies, I'm able to help his son. You understand? So.
Great story. Thanks, Roy. Marcus, over to you. What an opportunity. You know, it came, I spoke to Calla. He said, you know, we want a great fight. We want a great test. I said, you need a Brit. You know, we're in Manchester. Marcus Morrison, he was the guy. The opportunity comes. You were ready. You accepted the challenge. Excited for Saturday night.
Yeah, this is, you know, a massive fight for me, and I'm well aware this is sort of levels of above what I've been in with before. And you know, when I got the phone call, listen, there was no way I was going to turn down this fight. It's a great fight, and I think, you know, it's going to be, you know, full of excitement come Saturday.
Obviously, for a long time, you were seen as a big potential future star of British boxing. You lost that fight to Wellborn, and you know, you had some defeats on the way. You come back with a fantastic win in Italy last time out. But there's a lot of you that feels like you do have the levels to keep moving in the game. A lot of people felt like you had that potential early on, and now you get a chance to prove it against, you know, someone that's been inactive. We talked about Bivol against Richards and the argument of inactivity, etc. I know you haven't been the most active during lockdown as well, but behind closed doors, everything's set up. We're in Manchester. This should be some victory for you.
Yeah, like I said, like inactive, I don't think it's going to play a massive part in this fight. I think, you know, if you're a true athlete, a true professional, you'll stay in the gym, and you know, even if you've not got a fight, that you'll stay in and you'll work on your craft. And I believe both of us, you know, that's those type of fighters. You know, I believe Chris has stayed in the gym, and you know, if he's not been active, sort of under the lights, at least he's, you know, been in the gym and staying busy. And you know, it's the same with me. And yeah, listen, I just can't wait, and trust me, the fans are in for a treat.
Chris, welcome back. Good to see you on the card. I watched an interview with you last night, and I saw a more mature Chris Eubank. Don't take that in the wrong way. It was nice. I thought it was a great interview, very humble. You know, you talked about the mistakes you've made. You talked about, you know, your upbringing, your goals in life as well. You're still edgy. You still want it bad. You still got that little chip on your shoulder. You still got the same fighting spirit. inside you. You've been through a lot. You know, you had criticism, you had ups and downs, you had wins, you had defeats, you had huge fights. And you're here now for another run at it, another run to become world champion.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this fight is about, to see if that source is still there, you know. It's, you know, I haven't fought a 10-round fight in a long time. I've been out of the ring for a long time. You know, my last fight was, you know, in New York, end of 2019. It lasted 2 rounds. So the real last fight I had was February 2019. So, you know, this is my opportunity to get back in the ring and showcase everything that me and Roy have been working on over the last year and a half. And, you know, we've done a lot of work. You know, I have been inactive in terms of not being in the ring fighting, but in terms of what I've been doing in the ring with Roy at his gym, super active, you know, every day, week in, week out, learning, improving. You know, I think I'm one of the only fighters in the game that can say that during COVID I actually improved as a fighter. You know, most fighters probably either stayed the same or got worse. I think I've ascended. So it's just up for me now to go out there and show off the skills.
I know that Calla had that conversation with you, but it was always a feeling within the sport that you needed that training, you know, to really funnel your talents that you had, the raw talents that you had. I know for a long sort of time you sort of felt I could do this, you know, not on my own, but, you know, I don't need to bring in anyone else. I have what it takes. I know what I've got. It's just a better understanding of boxing now that you needed to take those steps to reach your goal of becoming world champion.
Yeah, you know, what I was doing worked for me for a long time. But I got to a point where I realized that once you reach a certain level, you know, you need as much support as you can get. You need as many eyes on you as possible. You know, going into the gym on your own schedule, doing what you want, controlling the gym, you know, it's not necessarily the best way to do things, especially if there's somebody that can guide you better than you can guide yourself. I had a very hard time finding that in a trainer, which is why I chose not to have one for so long. But in meeting Roy, I found someone that I fully trust. You know, when he tells me to do something, I can't second guess it. You know, I can go on YouTube or watch a tape and he's doing the same thing he just told me to do in the ring. So it's been, you know, it's been a very eye-opening experience. You know, people say, you know, you wish you'd met him a few years before, and you know, I'm not going to say that, you know, things would have been different, but you know, everything happens for a reason, and I'd say that this is the perfect time that we met during COVID, and yeah, I'm very happy.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Calla, Roy, Joe, Marcus. Look forward to a great fight here on Saturday night. Chris Eubank Jr. against Marcus Morrison. Gentlemen, I think if we could all have a photo up here, it would be nice, and the fighters to the front, please.
Okay, so stay with us. Hopefully Chris Eubank Jr. is going to join us on our stream here. You can just see him sharing a warm embrace with Roy Jones. They're just slowly making their way off the stage, so stay with us. He'll be here any second. Just off camera, you can't quite see it. Roy Jones just having a catch up with Eddie Hearn, so Chris is just making his way across now. Chris, just on that mark there, we are live on our streaming platforms. I liked one of the lines that Joe Gallagher said to you there. I like Chris Eubank. He's coming for a straightener. It's a bit more complex than that, but effectively, are you coming for a straightener on Saturday?
If I have to, you know, I'm in the mindset now of, you know, once I get in the ring, once that bell goes, I'm going to find the best way to take the guy out. Whether that's coming forward and dominating him or boxing his head off. I have the ability to do both. But, you know, whatever I do, it's going to be entertainment.
They also said, we believe we will have a moment in this fight. Is the key not giving them that moment, not giving them that free shot, or not giving them the opportunity, not giving them a small window where they could take advantage?
Absolutely. You know, every fighter knows you've got to shut your man down from round one. You know, can't give him any confidence, can't give him any opportunities to steal rounds or to build. You know, anything he does, I've got to shut it down straight away. So, you know, those small windows that they're hoping to get, you know, those windows are sealed, trust me.
Kalasau recalled a conversation, and I think you said, yeah, I do recall it up there, where he said after the George Groves fight, you are the total package, but you just need to get the corner right. You need to add the final piece of the puzzle. Is Roy Jones the answer to that?
I believe so. I believe I found my man, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to have him in the ring, ringside with me for the rest of my career. So, you know, this is the first step.
We've already spoke about looking too far ahead, looking at the next fight before taking care of what's in front of you on Saturday. Have you seen enough now that you are no longer, you know, we call you Eubank Jr, but you're not a kid. You've been in this game a long time, that you've got enough experience not to look past the man that's in front of you on Saturday?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I've ever had that mindset with anybody I fought. I've never overlooked a man. Everybody's dangerous. In boxing, anything can happen. All it takes is one punch. And at this level, you know, everybody can punch. Everybody's got that power. So I'm not underestimating this guy. I'm not taking him lightly. I've trained like an animal. And you guys will see that in a couple of days.
Yeah, at the same time, you have been out a long time. This is a huge platform. It's a big show. We said yesterday when you came in the room, it kind of lit up the room. You have got star appeal. But do you still believe you need that performance on Saturday that makes opponents in the division sit up in their seats and say, yeah, okay, he's a serious contender? If you're going to land these mega fights, the ones at the very top of the pyramid, you need to produce that on Saturday.
Have to look good, have to go out there, dominate, can't be flat. You know, I can't let the ring rust affect my performance. You know, I've got to go in there and go flat out and make a serious statement, because I do want these big fights in the summer and the winter.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us. Let you crack on. I'll ask you to step one way and I'll bring Adam Smith in the other while we wait for the next fighter on the card to come in. No, we're done. Yeah, you're done with us. Yeah, you're all done. Yeah. Sorry, I spooked people there.
There is a slight maturity, isn't there, now, actually?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's obvious.
Eddie hit the nail on the head there. I think he's really enjoying himself with Roy Jones Jr. I think maybe that is the one thing he needed. You know, and I think that sort of freshening up is a good thing. Obviously, it's been a very difficult time for everybody, the pandemic, over the last year and a half. And, you know, obviously he's utilised that as a chance to improve himself as a fighter under, you know, a boxing legend. You know, Roy's been, you know, loved here this week, hasn't he? We've all been in awe of him. But, you know, let's go back to Roy Jones Jr. as a fighter. And, you know, there was a time where he was one of the greatest ever, you know, going up and winning a world heavyweight title. And he was a phenomenal talent. And I had the pleasure of being around him at the time. But he's got all that experience to bring Chris, and Chris is an intelligent fighter. He's a very good fighter, but I think he's slightly underachieved, and I think this is an opportunity. He's only 31 still, an opportunity for him to get the big fights. And you know, Gennady Golovkin's the one he really wants. He's got to get through Marcus Morrison on Saturday. I've liked Marcus, you know, since he turned pro. I think he's always been a real hot prospect around the Manchester area. He's had a couple of defeats, and you know, he's had to pick himself up, but he had a good win in Italy, and you know, he's got an opportunity here. But as Chris said, you know, he's got to seal those windows and not let that moment happen. I'm expecting a big performance from Chris Eubank Jr. on Saturday night, but Morrison won't make it easy, because he looks well, he's with Joe Gallagher, and he can punch, so it'll be exciting while it lasts.
Campbell Hatton is up next. I can see his opponent Levi Dunn at the front of the stage. I just wonder if, again, you'll go down memory lane. The fact you'll be back at the AO Arena, formerly the MEN, Manchester Arena, where you had so many great nights in your own career commentating on Ricky Hatton. the fact that Campbell's going to be at the top of the ramp again, it's going to be it is going to be surreal for everyone. Even though we are desperately trying not to do the comparison, there is a natural comparison there, isn't there? A Hatton back at the Manchester Arena.
Actually having Matthew here all week as well, and talking about his boy Jack getting involved now in the sport, and obviously Carol and Ray and Ricky, you know, we all go back a long, long way, and to see Campbell up there is fascinating, and let's see how he does back home in his old man's fortress.
Yeah, okay, I'll ask you just to step off to one side, Adam. As we discussed there, you can see Campbell Hatton is up on stage. It was a big week for him in Gibraltar, so I know that he wants to show something different on Saturday night. Let's just have a quick look at some of these comments that are coming in here.
Thanks, guys. As the run continues of legends of British boxing, sons going on and moving through the divisions and challenging for world titles. Of course, Chris Eubank Jr. tomorrow, Conor Benn going extremely well, and this young man, Campbell Hatton, starting his professional journey. We see a little bit of a Manchester derby going on here. It's red against blue. Campbell, welcome. I think you would have learned so much from that Gibraltar experience. As I said to Matthew, you'll be hanging and blowing after 2 rounds you were, but what an experience, what an occasion. How much did you learn from that whole experience in Gibraltar?
Yeah, I learned a lot. It was the whole week was great. It's a great experience for me. I enjoyed every minute, but I learned just how hard a game it is. Obviously, the opponent I faced was a tough, durable lad, and I got the 8-ounce gloves on and thought, he's not going to last 2 rounds with me with these on, and they are tough blokes, and you don't just knock them over. So now I know to keep calm and not try and force things.
This time a little bit different. You got a Brit in the corner, fellow Mancunian in the other corner, and someone, you've got a big scalp on your head, haven't you? He's always had to go in against good young prospects. He always comes to fight, but these guys just step up a level when they get an opportunity to beat you as well. So something a little bit different this time, fighting someone from the same city.
Yeah, I've known Levi, I've sparred him, and I know what to expect. So it's a good thing at this stage of the career to be able to put a bit of a game plan together, which you don't normally get. So I think that's going to help me stay calm as well, because I know there's specific things I need to do, and the United top makes things a lot better as well.
I got this on purpose, man.
Makes it easier to punch him, is that what you're saying?
Makes me enjoy it a lot more, yeah.
Levi, you came up here, you just said to me, I can't believe it. I mean, I've envisaged this my whole career, to get a chance to be up here. And
I only started when I was, how old was I? 17 when I started boxing. And then, from when I started, I just always seen myself on Sky and Matchroom. And now I didn't think it'll be this fast either, and now I'm here.
I know your career so far, you've basically been slung in against top young prospects at short notice, etc. But I watched you fight. You can fight, and I think this is a really, really good fight, and what an opportunity for you.
I know, I'm just blessed to be here at the first place, but it's mad that this pandemic, how it's happened, how it's unfolded. I don't think it was going to happen like this because of the pandemic. The only fights have been hard fights out there, but like you just said, I go to win, I try my best. Each fight, I know I'm improving a hell of a lot. Each fight, I feel like I'm getting 6 months, a year advance each time I fight. So it's only a matter of time before I feel like I'll be able to beat everyone in my weights.
Obviously,
and I'll carry on training.
Fellow Mancunian as well, you've sparred together before. I know sparring, but everyone has different interpretations of how to spar.
Sparring, I think I was training for a fight then, and I was quite light, and he was a lot bigger. He probably did get the better of me in sparring. But I'd say that was maybe, when was it, Campbell? Maybe November, December?
Yeah, a few months back.
Yeah. So I've had 3 pro fights since then. I've sparred a lot of top quality kids, so I feel like I've improved a hell of a lot since 6 months ago. That was when I first turned over professionally. I had 1 pro fight, but I feel like I've improved a lot since then.
Campbell, finally from you, more composed this time around. Is that the plan? Take your time a little bit more, listen to Matthew in the corner, and obviously build on the success of that first victory in Gibraltar.
Yeah, definitely. I think in my first fight, I've shown little glimpses of what I can do, and I've shown I set a high pace and I can have a fight, but I didn't show my boxing brain and the classy work that I can do. So this time I want to show that patience and put in a more classy performance.
Well, it's Manchester against Manchester here on a packed night of boxing. It's Campbell Hatton against Levi Dunn. Don't miss this one. It's going to be all action over 4 rounds on Saturday night at the AO Arena, live on Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN around the world. Gentlemen, if we could have a face-to-face here, please.
Okay, so hopefully Eddie Hearn's just going to quickly jump down and join us. Eddie, Eddie, moving on from Gibraltar, what do you want to see? What have you said to Campbell Hatton since then?
Nothing really. It's what you expect. You know, you've got a young fighter that's extremely raw, that's got all the pressure of the world on him, all the eyes of the world, all the media from last time. And I said to Matthew Hatton in that morning, I said, you wait, after 4 rounds, he's going to be blowing. And he was. So much nervous energy, so much expectation, but he'll be a different fighter this time around. This is actually a really good fight. I watched Levi Dunn the other day on YouTube, and he's a guy who's just basically been slung in against good young prospects, but he comes to fight every time. I think the style's going to suit Campbell. I think he's just got to relax a little bit more, listen to Matthew. There's no fans this time as well, which I think will help him just to stay focused. You know, he should look good in there on Saturday night in what will be an interesting fight. And like I said, you know, you've got two kids from Manchester up there, one's City, one's United, but everyone looks at Campbell Hatton and says, oh, what a scalp. Just like they look at Conor Benn, just like they look at Chris Eubank Jr. They're going to up their game. So Levi's going to give it everything. You know, he sat down up there, he said, I can't believe this, I've dreamt of this all my life. So you know, he's coming. He's coming for you, so you better be switched on and sharp and go and do a job on Saturday night.
Yeah, he's won the Manchester United strip as well, so he knows
he
knows exactly what he's doing. I would say that. I don't know if you've seen some of the comments from other Sons of Legends, which has really been quite warming. Eubank Jr. saying, you know, it's tough. I'm surprised to see some of the hate that Campbell Hatton got online. Conor Benn saying, you know, I was disgusted and stuff like that. They've been there. They know how difficult it is. It is going to be a long process, and we are expecting the world from Campbell Hatton straight away.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. gave a great interview on it the other day. I heard him talk about it, and there are advantages and there are disadvantages. The advantages are you probably get a faster deal with a promoter because of the interest, because of, you know, just the hype, than you would do if you were an unnamed fighter. The downside, which I think is a heavy downside, is the pressure, the expectation. You know, you're talking about a guy in Ricky Hatton that was one of the all-time greats of British boxing, who had probably the biggest following of any fighter, you know, of all time. Then all of a sudden you got his son, and it's not like you're making a nice, quiet pro debut. I mean, he did more media in Gibraltar than Dillian Whyte, the main event. So the expectations, the comparisons, it does come with a lot of pressure. But that should also, if you've got the right character, that should give you the drive to want to outperform him. But that's difficult because you're always being compared. You know, everyone said, oh, is Conor Benn, can he be better than his dad? You know, Chris Eubank Jr., is he better than his dad? Oh, Campbell Hatton, will he be like Ricky? It doesn't have to be like Ricky. He's just got to be the best version of himself. That's all you can do in life, and he's got to focus on him. Don't worry about the reputation, don't worry about the name, don't worry about the fan base. Just be you, do your job, work as hard as you can, and he's got ability. But he's also got pressure, expectation, and he's got also a target on his head, where young fighters like Levi come in and go, oh my God, if I could beat Campbell Hatton, I've changed my life. So they're going to step up the level. So I expect a much more clinical performance this time around from Campbell Hatton.
Okay, perfect. I can see that Tasha Jonas is one side of the stage. I can see that Team Katy Taylor is also waiting in the wings. So let's let Eddie Hearn get back. And I know all of you are hammering our comments, want to know some updates about AJ Fury. I promise you, we will try and get an update from Eddie Hearn after all of this is concluded. We'll try and get him to stay on and join our stream, and we can try and ask some questions and find out where we're at. For the time being, let's just stick with this card for now. We can see everybody up on stage. So let's get straight back over to promoter Eddie Hearn, who is with Katy Taylor and Tasha Jonas.
Thank you. I'm exhausted so far. We've still got 2 fights to go. Of course, this one, the undisputed World Lightweight Championship, the rematch from the 2012 London Olympics between Katy Taylor and Tasha Jonas. Welcome to the team, Joe. Welcome back again. And Ross, good to see you again. Joe, I'll start with you. The first thing, I'll say it, you said to me this morning, I came over and you said, I'm telling you now, we're winning on Saturday. You're confident, you're excited,
you really believe Natasha Jonas will make history on Saturday night?
Yeah, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think that, Eddie. Listen, it's good to see the bookies are giving Natasha a better chance of beating Katy than they did Terry Harper. Do you understand? That's good for a start. Listen, it's friends reunited. Katy Taylor, what can you say about her? Do you know what I mean? What can you not say about her? What she's done, what she's achieved. She's a national hero back home in Ireland. What she's done for female boxing, amateur for Ireland, and then what she's done for professional female boxing across the world. Just nothing but respect for the girl. But this is the fight business, and come Saturday night now, it's strictly business. Katy Taylor, she's the media darling. And Natasha Jonas is going into this fight after a great career performance. She won the WBC super featherweight title. Only 2 people in the world didn't think she got it. But apart from that, she's the world champion in my eyes. So we've got Natasha Jonas now moving up to lightweight. And here she is now taking on what people are describing as the greatest all-time female fighter. Natasha won her style. This is a fight that if there was to be 3-minute rounds for women's boxing, this would be it. If you go back and watch their London 2012 Olympic fight, it was brilliant. But to show how much both of them have improved since then would have been better in a 12-2s or a 10-3s contest. Because for 10-2s, we've got to cut short the fight, and we're going to shortchange the pundits of seeing how quality these 2 fighters really are. We've got a 10-round sprint here, and we're seeing that with Natasha's Fight of the Year, Ring Magazine Fight of the Year last year with Terry Harper. So with that, we're going into this fight. We've got, the bookies now beginning to side a little bit with Natasha. They're closing the gap. The judges are going to have to come and do what they're to do. They're not to be here in order of you, Eddie, in order of matchroom, in order of the event. They come here and score what's happening in the ring. Sky and the broadcasters have got to commentate on punches landed, not where they're from or what's going around. And I think sometimes too much is said when they're trying to commentate, like radio presenters. They've got to talk about what's happening in front of them. And sometimes nothing said's better. And I think let the action prevail. That'll talk everything. Natasha Jonas is a strong live underdog. I'm telling you now, Katy Taylor, whether she wants to say it or not, this will be the hardest and most disciplined training camp she's ever had for any of her fighters, because she knows the serious threat Natasha Jonas brings. Whether she wants to agree with me or not, that's up to Katy. But I'm telling you now, with the sparring that she's brought in good Americans, Troy Anderson Jr., great kid on the amateur setup over there. They're absolutely training. They know the threat. Katy knows. So what we want in this fight is fairness by the judges, and we want the commentary to score on what's seen. Listen, I can't bad word Katy. She's absolutely fantastic. But what I'm going to say on the night, if everyone does their jobs, including me, and do the job, and Natasha does their job, I'm telling you now, we're going to have a new undisputed world champion come Sunday morning.
You said some very nice things about Katy. You have said in the media, just your opinion, that you feel that she's been hurt in fights. She doesn't have the same legs anymore. She's not as fresh as she was. Do you think this is the right time for Natasha Jonas? Do you think that do you feel that Katy Taylor's on the slide in the pro ranks? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, Katy Taylor had an extensive amateur career, and near the back end of her amateur career, listen, she had a few losses that Katy Taylor 3-4 years ago wouldn't have lost them fights. She's turned professional. Now, in the last few years, you can argue everybody, apart from a number of people, thought she lost in New York. We were there that night with Callum Smith. She's then come back, and then she's done the rematch with the Finn Pursoon, a lot closer than what people were saying it was. It was a hard fight. Katy's had an awful lot of hard fights of late, distance fights, and you know and I know, and this is what we're dealing with. I'm not talking bad at Katy because she's a media darling. I'm not talking bad and anything else. But if this was just a normal male fighter who people would think, Joe, what, has just gone to the peak and is just beginning to show signs, we'd be saying it, but no one wants to say it. But when you sit and study, you see things. Now, Katy Taylor against Finn Pursoon, round 3, she got buzzed with a shot, but no one picked it up. She got buzzed in another round against Cristina Leonardo. But when you sit and watch and study intensively, there's things now. Katy, like I say to you, is a great fighter, but we've done our homework, we've got opportunity. I said to you, Katy has trained like a demon for Natasha, and we've got to see the best Katy Taylor we've seen for a long while, all right? But you've got to see the best Natasha Jonas. The Natasha Jonas now would stop the Natasha Jonas that fought Terry Harper. So this is it. We're coming, and all I'm got to say is sit back, not much to say. Enjoy your popcorn.
Not much to say.
Yeah,
You've done 10 minutes straight.
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm trying to say the point is education. Well,
much more to say.
No, not much more. Yeah. Not much to say. But listen, sit back, enjoy your popcorn, and enjoy what it is. It's the biggest female fight for UK and Ireland that there's ever been, and we're privileged to be part of it and to be able to see this event. I think it would never happen. I have to thank Brian Peters, obviously, for giving, and Team Taylor, for giving Natasha the opportunity. And we thank you for that. And like I say, we'll roll on to Saturday night now.
Thank you, Joe. Natasha, before we come to you, Ross, over to you. On the slide, I mean, you know, the toughest camp so far, you know the risks. I mean, this is a tough fight for you guys, but fully confident going into Saturday.
I don't think I could compete with that long spiel, but we're just here to win the fight. We train hard for every fight. This is Katy's 12th world title fight. It's their 12th fight period, so every fight's a big fight. So we're coming to win. We're here to win Saturday.
Arguably, last time out, I know Gutierrez wasn't pursued, but one of Katy's sharpest performances last time out. Is that what we should expect again on Saturday?
Nothing different. I mean, she's going to be as sharp as ever. So I thought, you know, we looked great the last fight. We beat Pursuit clear in the second fight, regardless of what he's saying over here. Fight before that, we looked great against Leonardo Tao, so there's no slide. You're going to see the best Katy Taylor on Saturday.
Thank you, Ross. Natasha, crazy how things work. Of course, you were chasing the Terry Harper rematch. You stayed patient. You didn't take any other fights. Then all of a sudden, the biggest fight in women's boxing presented itself to you. Massive opportunity for you on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think every time I'm asked to step up, I do. And I perform. Being the underdog for me is no different. I'm always the underdog on the big night. So the more you tell me that I can't do it, the more I'll prove that I can.
Obviously, going into the Terry Harper fight, although you come back with a few wins, people looked at the Obernorth defeat and maybe still tarred you with that brush. But how much has the confidence risen even further since that Harper fight? I look at all the clips of you and Joe, and you look like you really believe now that you deserve to be up there as world champion.
Yeah, you've got to remember that going into the Terry Harper, we'd just come off a lockdown. You know, financially, you know, didn't know when I was going to box again. I had the baby 24/7 because the schools was shut, and I was just in a bit of a pickle about where I was going to go when the opportunity was going to arise. Obviously, we got that opportunity, and the baby came along to all the sessions, and she was a big part of that camp, and. Yeah, it was just great to be back, and I was starting from down the mountain kind of thing, mentally, physically, emotionally, and now I'm not there. After the Terry Harper, I'm at the top of the mountain, and I'm progressing up. I'm not starting from the low place that I was, building myself up to the Terry Harper fight. I'm starting at the Terry Harper and building myself up on that. My stats show it, you know, me body mechanics show it, my times, my weight, everything says that I'm well better than I was for the Harper camp, and I know I had to be there. When you
envisage this fight, when you think about this fight, how do you see it playing out? Do you believe you win this fight by stoppage? Is that how it plays out in your mind? I know that you say, you know, any means necessary, but I know that Joe feels that you can stop Katy Taylor on Saturday night. Yeah, I think in boxing, you know, one punch changes everything, and I do believe I have power. I don't like making predictions. I don't want to disrespect anybody by saying that, but yeah, I do believe I've got the power to do so. And after the traumatic experience of round 8 with the Harper fight, I've promised myself, you know, that they are learning curves, and that will never happen again. So if I get that opportunity, it'll be the end of the fight. Katy, welcome back, media darling, apparently, and, you know, undisputed world champion. This is a fight that's just continued to gain momentum. Of course, it's a fight that we talked about when you turned professional. At one point, we didn't think it would happen, but now it's here. You know, comments obviously from Joe that you've taken this camp seriously. I know you take every camp seriously, but you know the danger that Tasha Jonas presents.
This is why we're taking the fight, and we don't take any easy fights. I'm in this sport to fight the best, and in terms of training camp, our training camps are pretty much always the same. We train for every single fight as if it's going to be my hardest fight to date, and my mindset, my mentality doesn't change from fight to fight. So, looking forward to a great fight on Saturday.
I know you've got great amateur rivalry, of course, everyone remembers the Olympics from 2012. Is that irrelevant at this stage? I mean, people talk about it, it's a great narrative, but you're both completely different fighters now.
Yeah, exactly. The fight was 9 years ago. You're right, we're both very, very different fighters now than we were back then. I think we've both developed and matured into great pro fighters, and I think the fight is going to be completely different on Saturday night than it was in the London Olympics. You know, what works in the pro game doesn't work in the amateur game, and vice versa, and this is a completely different fight.
You haven't got loads and loads of professional fights. You did have a huge amateur career as well, and Joe, as nicely as he could, said that he just thinks you just might be on that way down. Do you feel like you're in your prime right now in terms of your training camps? I know you put a lot into those camps, but in terms of your performance, you feel like this is the absolute peak of Katy Taylor?
Yeah, I think so. I think my last few performances have showed that as well. I think I've shown my best in my last few performances. Like Ross was saying, Leonard had the Pursuing fight, the second fight against Pursuing, and then my last fight were probably my three best performances as a pro. So I feel like I am definitely improving and getting better each time.
Well, thank you, Ross, Katy. Thank you, Natasha and Joe. And whoever's phone that is, let's see, it is Spencer Oliver. Can you believe that, Spence? Bad form, bad form. So disrespectful to a fantastic fight, the undisputed lightweight championship. This is a momentous occasion. You know what? I think women's boxing has got to such a level, we don't even talk about women's boxing anymore. This is just a massive fight. And well done to everybody involved in this fight for making it happen. These are the kind of fights that we need to see. And I do believe on Saturday night you'll get a thriller between Katy Taylor and Tasha Jonas for the undisputed World Lightweight Championship. If we could have a head-to-head here, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now the face-to-face is complete. The fighters are going to fragment. I think Katy Taylor is going to go over to our colleagues at Sky Sports News, and I think Tasha Jonas is just going to join us live on our stream here. Tasha, there's just a mark on the floor there. We are still trying to socially distance. What can we take from that press conference there? You spent enough time looking at each other over the years. I don't think it's going to be any different on fight week. But did you, I don't know, see anything when you looked into her eyes there?
No, I don't know how to elaborate on that. No, not really. We've both known each other for a long time. It's not the kind of ego thing that sometimes the male boxers have. There's a lot of respect there, and yeah, we're just both two athletes ready to fight. That's it.
I mean, I've written down some of the things you said in the press conference there. I just wonder if you feel comfortable elaborating on it. You did think about walking away before the Terry Harper fight because life is complicated, especially in a pandemic. It's even more complicated. Just wonder how glad you are that you stayed true to the cause, and you just speak a little bit about being better prepared this time round for this fight against Katy Taylor than you were against Terry Harper.
Yeah, I think, it's about opportunities in boxing. Obviously, I didn't have any promoter, and I was struggling to get on shows because the shows had basically stopped. So financially, that was a nightmare. And then, obviously, the schools shutting and everything, and it was just a lot of pressure to keep the household running and going. So if there's no boxing coming in, then you have to fund it some other way. Luckily enough, I had sponsors that, MJI, Construction Growth, that kept me going throughout that, and they believed in me. Yeah, they're all here.
Just pick it out on the front of the tracksuit there.
So I'm one of the lucky boxers that didn't have to, and they helped me financially throughout that period. And then obviously when I got the opportunity, I was never going to say no. I was jumping at the chance, and it was an opportunity I believed I could win. It wasn't just about financial gains. It was about I believed I could beat Terry, and well, I have proved it.
Earlier in your career, Joe Gallagher, certainly in some of the post-fight interviews we did, spoke about that you could go up in weight, you could go down in weight. You were even looking at the weight below super feather. The world title fight came at super feather. No one's actually asked you this week about coming up in weight. In what ways will that benefit you? Do you feel any different now you're here on fight week? I know as an amateur you boxed up and down, so it's not a huge difference. But how do you feel throughout training, just carrying that little bit of extra poundage?
It's just, it's comfortable, to be honest, and it's just really £5 extra that you don't have to get off. So yeah, it's a weight that I've built myself up to. It's not just £5 of anything, you know. I've been eating right, I've been working in the gym with Johnny, and yeah, you know, I'm actually like biochemically leaner than I was before the Harper fight, so I'm bigger but leaner.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder, in training and sparring, you know, it's a lazy comparison, but sometimes we look at the heavier you are, there might be more power in the shots. Do you believe that you are punching harder at the weight above now at lightweight?
I believe that I punch hard anyway, to be honest. So whether that was at super feather or lightweight, I believe that I can punch. So yeah, we'll see on Saturday.
You might want to keep your cards close to your chest, but you did. Your team said that there are elements of Katy Taylor's performances where you do believe that she is slipping. Whereabouts are those areas? In what departments do you think she is declining?
That's the same question. You're just trying to get the answer out to me.
It's how many ways to skin a cat in my job, I have to say.
I mean,
Joe Gallagher just punched me off screen, I have to say that.
Yeah, it's one of them things. I don't need to point it out. I think, you know, if you're a boxing fan and you've especially a fan of Katy's, that you'll be able to see that for yourself. It's not something that I need to point out.
Just finally, before I let you go, the whole thing about the way you've carried yourself around the bubble this week is just pure confidence, that you're not playing poker with us. If there are any nerves, you're not showing them. You just feel that this is your time. It's time for you to become undisputed lightweight champion on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that boxing has a thing about timing. And just, yeah, now's my time. I stood my ground and spat my dummy out and kicked off and screamed and about opportunities, and then I got Terry Harper, and then I didn't get what I wanted in the rematch, and then, you know, bigger opportunities come. So I just think now's my time to excel and progress and show who I can be.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm glad that you didn't punch me and it was Joe Gallagher, but still, I just don't know what I've done to deserve this. I'm nervous and apprehensive ahead of Chisora Parker now coming down. I mean, let's get the heavyweights punching. Okay, I mean, the guys are... Yeah, that is it. Tasha, Joe, thank you very much. People making their way onto the stage, all done. Yes, thank you, Brian and Katy. I don't want to take any more of your time. The big boys are in town. I sense something might be building. I can see Derek behind one of the pillars. He's just about to make his way on stage. There's no sign of Spider-Man yet. David Hay is on the stage with Eddie Hearn, and just going to peek around the corner. Yes, Joseph Parker is in the building as well. So I'm filling, as you can tell, until all the guys are ready. Buddy McGirt is making an international phone call at the moment. I'm not sure who he's on the phone to, but let's get over to Eddie Hearn, who is with all of the main guys that we're going to be focusing on Saturday.
Thank you, Chris. I know I'm a bit biased, but what a card on Saturday night. I mean, the fights we've just been through so far, and of course here now, joined for the main event, Derek Chisora against Joseph Parker. Huge heavyweight clash was due to happen a year or so ago. Now they're finally here in Manchester. Great to be joined, of course, by David Hay and also the training teams for both guys, Buddy McGirt, welcome, and Andy Lee as well. Dave, I'm going to start with you. You've come back from Costa Rica. I saw you were out there for a long, long time. You got Derek ready. Another big roll of the dice. He continues to jump into all these big fights, and this should be a cracker.
Yeah, no doubt. Derek wants the biggest fights. He wants to leave a legacy. He wants to go out there and for people for many years to know Derek Chisora means war. He means destruction. We pushed it to the wire with Usyk last time out. You know, someone who's ranked #1 in the world, you know, contender. And I thought he won the fight. It was a very tight fight, very close fight. The two of the judges had it only by 2 points, 7 rounds to 5. This time round, he's not going to leave it to the judges. There's been no mindset to try to win this fight on points. You know, Joseph Parker, we know, is an excellent boxer, one of the best jabs in the business. Ask Andrew Ruiz, ask Carlos Takam how his jab is, and it's a killer. So it's a simple solution. We're not having a boxing match with Joseph Parker. It has to be a fight. I can guarantee a knockout in this fight. There will be a knockout. This is not going the distance. This is about how much Joseph Parker can take. He's got a great chin. He's went 12 rounds with AJ, 12 rounds with Dylan White, who hit him on the button many, many times. Derek's going to have to do something very, very special on Saturday night. And, you know, he's brought in the big guns, Buddy McGirt, you know, a Hall of Fame trainer. You know, we're adding as whatever we can to give Derek what's needed to do the impossible. A lot of people are not giving Derek a shot in this fight. But when you see how Derek comes across the ring in the first round, I think you'll understand exactly where this fight's going, and it's going in a very, very destructive manner. It's going to be all-out explosion from the first round, and get your popcorn and don't go to the toilet.
When we talked about the Usyk fight, you know, Usyk guy likes to box on the outside. You see Joseph Parker looks like he's coming light for this fight. Is that an obvious game plan? You've got to get on your bike against Derek Chisora. You don't stand and trade. You don't let him get on your chest. You have to box and move.
Without a doubt, anybody who watches Derek Chisora will want to keep him on the outside. And because once Derek's on the inside, ask David Price. I spoke to David Price after the fight, and he said when Derek was inside, he didn't know where the punches were coming from. He said from the outside, he could see him coming, but inside, when you're inside with those little gloves, a big, you know, heavy, real heavyweight, even short cuffing shots. He's been practicing this stuff inside. The inside game is very, very destructive. And Joseph Parker is going to be in a situation he hasn't been in before. He's fought come-forward fighters in the past, like Carlos Takam and Andrew Ruiz Jr., but he's been able to keep them at arm's length. So they wasn't able to mount any type of assault in the inside game. This is where Derek has to do his work. This is where Derek has to drag him into the deep end from round one. You know, it's not 2 or 3 rounds to get into the fight. That's going to be no use against someone as sharp as Joseph Parker. So it's going to have to be brutality from round one, and I'm excited.
Thanks, Dave. Go to the training teams. Andy, first with you. Your first training camp with Joseph Parker. How's it been? He looks in tremendous shape. Looks nice and light, nice and lean, and excited. You know all about Derek Chisora. You've seen him fight. You've been there before, live on the nights as well. Should be a great heavyweight battle.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with what David said. I can only see the fight playing out one way, with Derek come forward and bring in war, which he has done over numerous fights in the recent years. And I see Joseph boxing a smart fight. And if Joseph can practice, and if Joseph can put into practice what we've been rehearsing in training, then I can see Joseph winning by late stoppage. And as Derek said, we don't want to leave anything to the judges. The only way to guarantee victory in this game is by getting a knockout. And so as much as they're going for it, we're going to be going for it as well.
Obviously, you know, the clever noise says for Joseph to stay on the outside and box as well, but willing to get in there and mix it up as well. With Derek Chisora, is that just a no-no?
Well, we might surprise you. We surprised everybody with Tyson Fury against Wilder, and Joseph might do the same. But you'll have to wait and see.
Cheers, Andy. Buddy, welcome to the team. Welcome to the madness of War Chisora camp with David and Del. How's it been? You've enjoyed it working with these guys, and you got a guy there full of heart and ready to go on Saturday.
It's been interesting, but it's been great. I have no complaints. I mean, the only complaint I have is that everything was locked down in London. I couldn't go anywhere. But other than that, Derek and David and the team made me feel good, made me feel at home, and they welcomed me well, so I really can't complain.
We know you know how to study fights, you know how to watch different styles. Is the analysis that you've heard up here, you know, the way you expect it to plan out? You expect Parker to box and move, and Derek's got to cut the distance and get on the inside?
I expect Parker to do both. See, Andy Lee, you know, he's got an old way of thinking. You know what I mean? So I think they're going to do is try to box, yeah, but they're also going to try to fight us inside when they want to fight us inside. Not when we want to fight inside, when they want to fight inside. You know, they want to dictate it. So that I know. I mean, because, you know, they're not going to try to box all night. I mean, I know a guy like Andy, how he thinks. You know, sometimes you got to try to beat a guy at his own game for a little while. So what we got to do is we just got to get down and dirty. We got to hit him on his thigh. We got to hit him on his knees, his back, anywhere. Oh, we're gonna mug you, man. The only thing safe is your balls. Anything else, we're going after everything. We're going for the gusto. I mean, we gotta drag it down like that. It's no secret. You know, people say, you know, buddy, you know, you're gonna get Derek to stick and move. I'm like, what are you, crazy? You know what I mean? He's got to be Derek. You just gotta sharpen up. I mean, smooth the rough edges, but you gotta let him be Derek. And I know that, you know, they're gonna try to box, yeah, but I also know they feel in the later rounds they're going to try to fight him inside a little bit, try to break our man down. So we're prepared for that.
Thank you, buddy. Joe, the back, the head, the arms, the thighs. You ready for everything that comes?
Is that legal? Or?
Well, we'll worry about that later. But
listen, I'm very prepared for this fight. I've had a great training camp with Andy. We started off in Ireland. Then we moved over to Morecambe. We have great sparring under our belt, great pad work, bag, everything. And I feel like with this fight, physically, mentally, I'm in a great place. Probably the best I've been in a while.
last time out against Junior fight, a bit of a rugged fight. You've been inactive for a long, long time. You could see the rustiness coming off you. You expect another rugged challenge from Derek. I mean, he's going to want to do all those things. He's going to want to find a way on the inside. He's going to want to make you fight.
Two totally different styles. You know, Junior Far's style was move and hug, punch every now and then. With Derek, I think it's no secret. He's going to come forward, apply the pressure, like they say, and throw punches everywhere. So my hands have to be up, down, all around.
When you look at the rankings right now, particularly the WBO, the IBF, you are right there. I mean, victory on Saturday night will put you right on the verge of trying to regain the world heavyweight title and getting a shot. Is that the ambition? I mean, for Derek, he loves to fight. You know, his world title ambitions might be different to yours as well, but that's the ambition and the thought behind this fight. Is it's a big profile fight that's going to put you right in line for a shot at the world heavyweight title.
I think it's the perfect fight at the right time. We're right there. You know, get a good victory. There's many other fights out there to make, and to position yourself when the titles are, you know, free to fight for. But this is a perfect fight. You know, it's a big card. Not only the main event, the undercard fights as well is very exciting. So I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Del Boy, another roll of the dice for you. I thought you were tremendous last time out against Usyk. You didn't stop all night. Interesting, like I was thinking, you know, Joseph Parker trying to position himself for a world title shot. If you win, you'll also do the same. But that's not really the mentality, is it? You just love to fight.
Yeah, you know, I love fighting. Put yourself in the world title shot. It's okay, you know. Dylan White's been on the world title shot for the last 5 years. You know, he hasn't gone anywhere. So I don't want to put myself in those positions. I just want to put myself in positions where I get to fight good fights, basically. And this is right. I mean, I'm fighting Joseph Parker again, and then after that, we'll see what happens.
I think the improvements you've made have been incredible. I remember when David said to me, building up to the Spilka fight, no southpaws. You know, you went in, you destroyed him, and then you fought one of the most skillful southpaws in boxing, and you pushed him all the way. Are you looking more forward to this style? You know, Joseph Parker, he can box, he can fight. He likes to trade it up sometimes as well. You expect a more aggressive fight this time around?
Oh yeah, you know, I expect I'm gonna do what I do best. You know, come forward, fight, chuck hell. You know, do what I do every day. You know, just roll the dice and just rock and roll. You know, and just go at it. You know, come out those gates. You know, just go.
We saw Spider-Man earlier on. There's still a little bit of mystery behind the whole spider bite scenario. You know, it's one of those unique excuses. I know Joseph well, I believe Joseph, but there's always been a little bit of doubt. I remember when I phoned David to tell him, you know, I mean, not sure he thinks I'm always dishonest, but there was a lot of people that were thinking that's an interesting one.
Yeah, you know, the guy had a spider bite. We can't deny it. We don't know if it's true or not, but he had it, and now he's here, so we're not gonna cry over spilled milk. You know, David did a good impression of wearing the Spider-Man suit early on in the morning. So it was okay. Well, you know, the fight's here now, so we're not going to talk about history anymore. That's why it's called history. Well, if you want to see the Spider-Man, David, do you mind go putting your outfit back on?
It's underneath here. I've got it.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Del, finally, great card on Saturday night. Again, you know, you're bringing, as you always do in all your career, particularly as of late, great value for money. Of course, top to bottom on this card as well. Tasha Jonas, Eubank's back, Dmitry Bivol, Campbell Hatton, James Tennyson. It's going to be a great night, and you're going to put it on the line once again for the fans.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night, man. You know, good things are happening. You know, great card. It's a big card, but we don't have that a little edge on. We don't have the fans. It's just depressing, but what can we say? Pay-per-view it.
And good as well, because last time you were going to fight Josie Parker, of course, you were put as co-main event on the Taylor Prograis card,
Yes.
and you didn't really appreciate that. So, right in your rightful place as main event this time around.
As you say, the king is back.
Long live the king.
Long live the king. I'm back. Yeah, so I'm buzzing, man. Listen, all I'm saying to those fans at home, man, you know, I'm going to bring smoke, and then I know my opponent here is going to bring something, which he's going to be on his bike, but it's okay. You know, he's going to be cycling back to Australia, but it's okay. But it's all good though, man. So we're buzzing, you know, we're exciting, you know. I know right now I'm still having laughing jokes, but you know, when I come tomorrow, you'll know what time it is.
Del Boy, Joseph, thank you. Andy, Buddy, David, thank you so much. Great heavyweight fight. That was the longest press conference ever because Saturday night is stacked. An unbelievable night of boxing from start to finish at the AO Arena in Manchester, live on Sky Sports box office in the UK, DAZN all around the world, wherever you are. Do not miss Saturday night. It's going to be a tremendous night of boxing. And gentlemen, if we could have a group picture here with the gents up the front. Thank you.
Dry legs. Don't fucking do that. Don't zoom in on my legs.
Felt like a good idea at the time. It's felt like a good idea at the time, but I can't quite see where I am and who's coming. Delboy, so many questions. So many questions about who was Spider-Man this morning. It wasn't.
Are you sure you want to put that on your face because that was someone else before? Can you smell it?
I put a mask on. I put a mask on underneath. Don't worry.
Ever with us, and then let me know.
Can you tell me what happened at breakfast? Where did the idea come from? It's totally unique that you would have breakfast with your opponent, but you just said there quite an ominous finish to that. I may be your friend now, but come fight night and bring in something completely different.
You know what? It's we in lockdown. You know, we're in a bubble, and there's nothing much happening. You know, so a bit of breakfast. And a bit of banter, you know, reading your opponent, see what he thinks, seeing his movements, how he's jittering. And then I saw a lot anyway. And then
do you think you were getting him jittering over breakfast?
No, I was just having a conversation. You know, just chill, calm.
What did you make of what they said up there, that they are coming to knock you out? They're not going to win this fight. They're not coming to win this fight on points. Does that surprise you? Is that a double bluff?
You should look at how Andy Lee boxed his career. Did he ever knock anybody out?
He was a pretty big puncher, Andy Lee, in his prime, yeah.
In his prime, and then afterwards he just became safe, you know, he started boxing, you know. It's difficult because you can't compare Joseph Parker to Tyson Fury. You know, Tyson Fury is a different beast. You know, Tyson Fury lives fighting, he loves fighting, he was born fighting. And then suddenly he compares Joseph Parker to Tyson Fury to Joseph Parker. It's totally different. You know, for me, I'm just do what I do best. You know, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to come. If I tell you I'm going to come boxing, you're probably going to laugh at me. If I say I'm going to come and stick and move, you're going to laugh at me. But all I'm going to say is it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, David Hayes said earlier, that was quite an interesting conversation he had with David Price, that when you're inside, you're so dangerous. To get inside, you might have to eat some leather, and by taking that risk, you know, I don't want to put it as basic as this, but do you risk, you know, getting knocked out yourself to land the knockout?
Yeah, but you know I get inside so easy. Because they're scared of me coming inside, they're already retreating. So I'm going to run in there. As we say, it's going to be the W, man. The gates go bing, and the horses are out.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you, we love these fight weeks because you always come with something. There's always something up your sleeve. What else is left? I'm intrigued. Can you tell us too much, or is it serious now from now on? Does the Spider-Man costumes and that go away and it's serious business, or we still got a few tricks up your sleeve? Yeah.
There's a big one to come.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tease it? Can you tell us anything?
I can't tell you anything.
Okay. Okay. You made me really nervous now. Have you just got a final sort of message there? The talking's good, but fight night is approaching. Have you got a final message if we don't get a chance to catch up with you tomorrow?
Eddie needs to change his bubble, man, because this bubble is bad. That's all I got to say, man. Yeah.
I've done a lot of them now. Look, I'm on your side. I'm looking forward to bubble life being complete. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. You can have your costume back. Yeah, I'm glad I will. No. The less said about that, the better. Thank you very much. Adam, while we are waiting for the other protagonists, Joseph Parker is with Fraser Dainton. I think they might have lost their security deposit on the Spider-Man costume. Derek Chisora said Joseph Parker is not Tyson Fury. What Andy
put the costume back on?
No. Look, it was a bad experiment. I regret it instantly. What about that though? Andy Lee saying everybody thought that Tyson Fury was going to do something against Deontay Wilder because that was what he'd done previous. Derek and the team are saying Joseph Parker always boxes on the back foot. He always gets on his bike. Andy Lee said, don't be so sure. We could do a Tyson Fury. The mind games are in full operation now. I don't really know who to believe.
Well, that's it. I think Derek won the mind games this morning, but maybe Andy did up there. Very clever. Very, very clever. I, for one, I went out for Fury Wilder, and I didn't believe Sugar Hill and Andy Lee when they said that, Tyson Fury would walk through Deontay Wilder. I didn't think that at all. I thought Tyson Fury would win the fight, but not in the manner that he did. Expect the unexpected. Only Andy and Joe know what their tactics are. It would surprise me if they did that. I think that it's a very important fight for Joseph Parker, and he needs to make sure that he gets the W. That's the most important thing. And I think what Andy was saying actually in another part of the press conference was that, we'll probably get him late. And I think that's a more accurate assumption, that actually, if Chisora's going to pound him from pillar to post for the first sort of half of the fight, that maybe as he lacks pace, as he slows down, then Parker, if he's kept his composure through it and kept to his boxing skills, could possibly find that late stoppage. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight because Derek will make it a tough fight, and we saw him give everything. He was like a steam train against Alexander Usyk. And many people think Usyk's a much more skillful fighter than Joseph Parker, but Parker's a natural heavyweight. I think he will, as Buddy said actually up there, I think he will mix it up. I think Joseph will try to box and at times stay in the pocket with him. I think he needs to. But it's going to be fascinating. First 6 rounds of Chisora's steam. Let's see how Parker copes with that.
I'm going to try and bring in Andy Lee. I don't want to interrupt. Andy, do you mind just joining us? I know we're live. David, hey, sorry to interrupt on your conversation. Are you able to come over? Yeah, I'm really sorry. This is the pitfalls of live TV. While we're waiting for Andy Lee to come over, it's good spending time around Andy. Derek Chisora was a bit disrespectful about Andy Lee's punching power there. You've only got to go on YouTube and see some of Andy Lee's one-punch knockouts were unbelievable.
Andy could hit. I don't think Derek's looked at the tape properly enough. I don't think he studied Andy Lee's career. Andy could hit, but he was also a very clever fighter too. So and I understand. I think he's going to make a brilliant coach. It's a great call that Tyson Fury's made to put Andy and Joseph together. You can see by Parker's sort of whole, body language this week. He's been so happy. He's been so relaxed. He's been, and he looks great. I think it's what he needed. I think maybe Chris Eubank Jr. needed that move to Roy Jones. Maybe after the long time with Kevin Barry and the success they had, he just needed to freshen up. He needed that change. He's gone to Andy Lee. I think Andy Lee, he's worked with Emmanuel Stewart, one of the greatest trainers of all time. He's worked with Adam Booth, one of the great trainers we've got over here, and he's picked it all up. I think Andy, he's a sage, and he soaks it all in.
I think it's safe to say
I'm probably not going to get him.
No. He's in deep conversation with David Hay there, and I don't want him to think we're being rude by asking him again, so we'll leave him to his conversation. What about Joseph Parker and how he dealt with that today? One of the things I would say is everybody laughed, but they're not making any excuses the way they're going to approach this fight, and that may include some of the dark arts. This one might need a strong referee.
I think absolutely. I mean, what Buddy McGirt was saying up there, and he said to us last night at the workouts as well, hitting every sort of part of the body. Yeah, look, it's going to be tough. I think Andy's coming over now. Yeah. Ask Andy what he thinks about that.
First, it's a public apology for butting on your conversation.
He was just reviewing his career with me, so I was really enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, well, Derek Chisora's just been reviewing your career.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said you weren't much of a puncher, but I did try and remind him that you've got some of the best one-punch knockouts in history, so I just want to make that public. He's up there doing the national press. Serious question first. Everybody's laughing about it, but they're making no secret that they're going to try and take Joseph's legs away, that might include some of the dark arts. Are you going to sort of make a call for a strong referee for this one? Does this fight need a strong referee?
The referees, will I confirm the referee? Or should I leave it off?
It's up to you.
The referee is Steve Gray, and I think he's got a great record, and especially dealing with big men. So I'm quite happy with the referee. And the number one rule in boxing is if you get hit low yourself, the first thing you do is give it back. So, and Joseph, Joe's a nice guy, but he's no angel, So,
Spencer, I've questioned it this morning. I was going to say to you, I wouldn't have had breakfast with my opponent because we know Derek Chisora is the wind-up merchant of all wind-up merchants, and he was trying to just turn up the heat a little bit over breakfast with Joseph Parker. The key is for you to, keep him calm and say don't get involved. What can you do? What can you say to make sure that happens?
Well, I don't know. There was not the Spider-Man was a bit of fun. It was all in good nature. Good,
saying he's from Australia, which I'm sure is deliberate.
Yeah. No, that's deliberate. Yeah. But it's all a bit of fun. There's nothing to fear. It's nothing that can be said now to somebody like Joseph, who's had how many world championship fights.
Yeah. The talking is irrelevant, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You're always prepared for it. Like I say, every time they encounter each other, I say to Joseph, be ready for anything. Don't have your hands behind your back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you never know. That can always happen. Something could always spur. So we've got one more encounter left, I think, to weigh in. And then the next time I see him, we'll lead the fight.
We're not silly, though. I'm not saying you're playing your own mind games, but you said everybody pigeonholed Tyson Fury and said he could never do what he did against Wilder, and everybody's saying that Joseph Parker's going to get on his bike in this fight. Are you going to, I don't know, are you trying to trick us all? Is he going to stand in the middle of the ring and meet him head to head?
No. But it always works that way. It's, it's very rare that a narrative, a pre-fight narrative will follow what actually happens, where the puncher will will become the boxer, or the boxer becomes the puncher. I see that all the time in fights. So listen, don't discount. And Joe's punching hard.
Yeah.
Spiteful.
Thank you for coming and joining us. I'm just going to ask Joe to step into the void. Welcome. What do you take away from that press conference, apart from the sort of bizarre ballroom dancing he was trying to get you to do at the end there? It's all smiles, but there were some serious bad intentions set up there as well.
It's now that we're getting closer to the fight, I feel like everything's starting, walls start turning, from being nice, having breakfast together, to actually get into game mode or fight mode. So even though it's, still there, doing a bit of a dance, but I know that things are going to start to change real quickly.
Yeah, you seem happy enough to engage in all these sort of things. How are you staying calm? Like breakfast, we were just saying, we're just turning up the heat a little bit, keep saying you're from Australia, which obviously you're not. And I think he knows that. It's plastered on every billboard around the fight. Pride of New Zealand, it's on your tracksuit top. He knows. I just wonder how you are managing to keep calm. Is it water off a duck's back? Are you just too experienced, or
I feel like
is he starting to chip away at all?
It's all part of the game. You just got to accept everyone or every fighter that you're fighting with and what they're going to bring. And I feel like he is trying, but none of that's affected me. I'm just going to remain calm, remain myself, and focus on what my task is, and that's to stay ready for fight night.
What about what you said about perhaps some of the nastier sides of the game? He's going to hit you below the belt, he's going to hit you in the knees, he's going to hit you on the back. It is the fight game, but there are rules in place for a reason. Does that bother you at all?
Doesn't bother me. The ref is going to be there to do his job. And if that happens, I'll do it straight back. He said that there's, the only safe part is, in front here. But if he starts it, I'm going to finish it off with that.
What about what Andy Lee said? We're not making this lazy comparison. We're not saying that Joseph Parker is Tyson Fury just because he's now training in the same training team. But Tyson Fury did surprise us all because he told everyone he was going to do one thing, and he went out there and did it, but it was something different to what he'd done previously in his career. He stood with a puncher and out-punched him. Derek Chisora, I don't think I'm overstating this, that we do know he's most effective when he is coming forward. Are you going to stand and meet him like Andy Lee might have hinted at, or are you going to box smart?
I think a bit of both. I feel like, listen, even though I'm training in the same team as Tyson Fury and Andy Lee, I'm no Tyson Fury. I'm Joseph Parker, and the way that I fight is a lot different to how he fights. So we've come up with a good game plan, I think, that if executed well, it should be a great night.
Listen, you've got a huge amount of fans in the UK. You've also got everybody watching back home. I'm not quite sure what time it is at the moment, but you will have your fans. Do you want to address everyone that is tuning in, everyone that is going to be supporting you on the night and has supported you through this journey so far?
Only thing I want to say is very thankful, grateful for the support. We feel very welcomed here in the UK. You know, there's support New Zealand, Samoa, Australia, but being in the UK and meeting people around, I know we're in the fight bubble, but when we're in camp and we're going for walks and drives, everyone was very welcoming. So thank you for the support and tune in to a great fight.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for waiting around and coming joining us on the stream, and thank you for everything this week so far. Probably won't see you at breakfast. It's one of those breakfast dates are hard to come by in this bubble. So thank you very much. Adam Smith, if you could come in and join us. I was hoping that we might get a chance to speak to Eddie Hearn, but he is doing other media commitments, so I will get him at some point and we will get it out across all our social media channels, so fear not, we might not get him on this stream though. It looks like he might be settling into a long interview there with Michelle Joy Phelps from Behind the Gloves. So Adam, just finish this off. They're wild, these streams, but we do get a great insight into what everyone's saying there. I mean, and
we don't know what's going to happen next.
No, I've got no idea. I'm completely lost. The costume was a terrible idea. I don't really know why I let people twist my arm into putting it on.
It's all about attire, isn't there? Eddie's attire, your attire.
I echo what Derek Chisora said there. We've had to do these bubbles to get through. But
what do you think Derek's going to do? What's the big surprise?
Oh, I don't even want to start thinking about it. What do you think? I don't know. I don't even want to start thinking about it. Hopefully nothing. Hopefully everyone weighs in and we can just settle into fight night.
It's a great card, isn't it? It's a fantastic fight night. Some really, really good action guaranteed. I think there's some wonderful stories. There's a chance of upsets. There's it's thick. It's fantastic. It's start to finish, and really looking forward to Scott Fitzgerald returning. I think James Tennyson's fight is fascinating against a tough Mexican, and we know what Tennyson brings, so we're going to get excitement from the word go. Chris Eubank, glad to have him back against Marcus Morrison. Golden opportunity and an unlikely one for the other Spider, Craig Richards. Good to see Dmitry Bivol back as well. On the flip side, really looking forward to seeing how he performs, because he's been out for a while. And Campbell Hatton, following the footsteps of the Hattons that have gone before him. Of course, Ricky, who made that Manchester Arena his own. So many electric nights there. Gutted we can't have fans in for Campbell's sort of Manchester homecoming or Manchester start. But there we go. We've got great fights, and obviously Katy Taylor and Tasha Jonas is a terrific one, and the big boys at the end, the heavyweights. So I think we're going to get some real drama on the night.
Yeah, drama on the night, and perhaps we might get a little bit of drama tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So wherever you've watched this stream, come back tomorrow. The weigh-in from 1 o'clock. Make sure you join us. And Derek Chisora is promising one more big surprise this fight week, so you don't want to miss it.